Good evening, wrestling fans. This is Kevin Burke along with Coach Mike Bukowski here to bring you the Class 2A Individual State Wrestling Championships. 224 wrestlers began competition on Thursday afternoon, and we now have narrowed it down to 28 with the goal of being crowned a state champion. Coach, we have some exciting matches in line for us tonight, but maybe tell our listeners 2 or 3 that stand out in your mind.
Well, you always have to start, Kevin. We've got 8 boys that will be defending state titles this year from last year, so those matches will obviously be key. And as they come up here, I think they're getting ready to start. We'll make sure that we talk about that and mention. But again, another full house here. A great weekend of wrestling. These young men and their coaches, as well as the officials, have put together a great effort this weekend, and we're ready to go for an unbelievable championship night. From Montini is the defending state champion at 195 pounds, and he is going to be wrestling Austin Martson from Crystal Lake Central, and he was had 1 loss last week in that sectional, and this is going to be a great match. This last week came right down to the wire, so we anticipate much the same this week with this match.
Yeah, great one first to start with tonight. 2 quality kids from quality programs. You know, Izzy Martinez, coach there at Montini. They've had a powerhouse again this year. 9 kids in the state championships, and that's just unbelievable. And Justin Lear over at Crystal Lake Central has developed that into a real solid program. Over the course of the last couple years, did real well in the team states, and they've had a lot of individuals who've done real well also. So we're looking forward to a good one. Ferraro would be in the black singlet with M on the side. Marsden right away with the trip, gets the early 2. He's in the black singlet with orange stripes.
And I incorrectly identified Andrew as Austin, who we all know was his older brother that has gone on and wrestled and done very well in college. But Andrew Martson, again, comes out and really changes the tempo of this match from last week.
Yeah, right away come out and got the early takedown. Yeah, and his brother's doing real well down there at Oklahoma State. Had a nice career so far, national qualifier last year, so good bloodlines there.
Well, it's very interesting when you have these kind of matchups just a week apart. You know, last week's match, I saw that match, and again, it was very different in the beginning. Both wrestlers came out last week and kind of felt out the match, and there wasn't much activity till about halfway through the match, and Martson just comes
Ferraro
out right
got
now.
caught trying to roll through and tried to roll and got his arm stuck, and Marsden did a nice job freezing him for 2 more. 4-0 early lead.
Well, Martson is dictating the pace of this match from the beginning, and Ferraro's going to have to match this if he's going to have a chance to defend his title.
Well, you've been through here or through this situation quite a few times. You're Marsden. Last week you didn't come out the way you want to. What do you as a coach tell him? Changes to make, or maybe just stick with your same game plan and hope for a better result?
Well, it's obvious they didn't stick with the same game plan.
Yeah.
It's obvious they decided to become a little more aggressive and open up the match sooner, and obviously that's paying off for him right now. And that's what happens in that week time. You know, you're not going to make a lot of major adjustments, but you're able to watch some tape, watch some film, and go over the match, break that down. You know you're going to, at one point during the tournament, you'd see this opponent again, and chances are,
locked
here
him
he is
up with the
cradle
again.
situation.
Those kids from Crystal Lake run a beautiful cradle series, and that's going to be a fall. Like you talked about, huge upset. Comes back from last week. Didn't get the result he wanted, came out early, changed his game plan right away, tried to do things a little bit quicker, and nice result. Pin in the first period. We had 27 seconds left there, so that'll be our state champion, Andrew Marsden, junior from Crystal Lake Central, now 43 wins and 2 losses.
And he really did a great job. He changed the whole tempo of that match in 1 week's time, and he came out and he really went after it from the very beginning. He scored early, got on top, and was in a situation where he wasn't able to be last week. And, you know, that's sometimes what state finals are all about, is being able to match that intensity and being able to match what the opponent is going to bring you.
I'm here with Andrew Marsden from Crystal Lake. Andrew, great match with a pin in the finals. You were really excited about this. You're only a junior. Tell me what your thoughts are after the match.
I'm just speechless. I don't know. I was worried. My coach just told me to go out there, wrestle hard. I thought I couldn't hold him down, but right when I got that cradle locked up, I just thought to myself, you gotta do this. Just squeeze tight and hope for the best.
You look like you were really, really ready. So you got one more year left. What are your goals for next year?
Same thing. Just go back next season, start off clean state, just train harder, and that's about it.
Awesome job, Andrew. Congratulations. Hi, I'm Lee Kemp, three-time world champion and Olympic wrestling coach. When I was an athlete, I looked for any type of edge I could get, and nutrition was that edge for me as an athlete. And I created the company Forza to help athletes get that nutritional edge. And when I finished competing, I wanted to do something that would allow me to be involved in wrestling and give something back to wrestling. So I created the company Forza. Forza is a nutritional company that allows me to pursue a great passion that I have of nutrition. ForzaByKemp.com.
Again, we're seeing two of the best kids in the state, obviously, and they've been that way all year long. So yeah, we've got the final over there and the AAA match, so we're set and ready to go here. Ruano will be in the black singlet again, the Montini one you'll see quite a few times tonight. In the purple and gold singlet, it'll be Majera from Wakanda. And like Coach said, 47-1. He's coached by Tom Nance.
Well, Tom Nance has been at Wakanda for a long time, and he always seems to do a great job and have especially some upperweight success. He's had a lot of success over the years, and these kids obviously from Wakanda are well coached, and this is going to be a great match.
Yeah, Jim Carnahan's our referee for this one. Majera's in on a shot again, climbs it, and he's got the early two. Got a nice tight ride on him, staying tight hip to hip. He got the knee in there to ride him. And again, I've seen a lot of it this weekend. A lot of wrist rides, getting your hips on them and doing some things real tough from the top. We had the opportunity to go down to Granite City and broadcast their big tournament down over Christmas. And a lot of kids from the South work this. They get on top and they're just get on you and just try and beat on you the whole time, instead of like we see so many times up in the northern part of the state, more of a cut or shoot and release type of situation.
Right. And again, here in this early in this match, it is really the opposite of the tempo last week. Majera comes out, he definitely sets the pace and gets more aggressive in the first period, and Ruano is in down position with a fresh start here.
Nice quick stand, he's to his feet, working for hand control. Jarrett comes through, locks up on a single. Remember, it's his job to mat return him, otherwise he'll get warned for stalling. Boy, he's working real hard at it. And Rano moves real well for a 220-pounder. I've always enjoyed watching him do things.
Yes, he does. And it looks like he's getting a little hand control here.
To a tripod stand, and he gets his escape with 35 seconds left in the first period, excuse me. Here's where, as a wrestler, you have to make a decision. You're going to be willing to get out of the period 2-1, or do you want to force some action and try and get that last score late? And it looks like Majera's making an attempt to get in there on a shot, but
he does a good job.
Got his hips on him real solid. Now it's going to be tough to score.
10 seconds left here.
Yeah,
he wants to keep that elbow.
Majera needs to control the elbow. And good flurry to finish off. We're 2-1 going in the second period.
Well, again, a little bit of a different match from last week. Both guys, being a little more aggressive in the first period. And obviously that kind of ups the tempo here. So it looks like Ruano is going to start down here in the second period.
And I've already talked about 2 weight classes, 2 different times you've seen a change in style. Do some kids relax a little more when they get to the state finals? In other words, sectional, okay, that's a big deal. Semis, you know, okay, but now you're here in the finals. Do they tend to relax? Or?
Well, I think there's a couple of different thoughts. I think, you know, one of the things that I used to find interesting is sometimes when the kids get to that sectional final against a quality opponent, it's almost a mental block, because everybody's telling them, you know, they're thinking themselves, I'm going to see this guy next week. This match really doesn't matter. We're already downstate. There's no more bye here in the state tournament. You know, there's a seeding aspect, obviously, but, you know, and so sometimes that match is a little bit of a
He's
different.
running heck out of that arm bar, and he's real tough and turns it, and he's going to be sitting on a 2 near fall as soon as the hold breaks. Like you said, he's just doing things real hard and very active right now.
Well, again, you know, he gets on top and you know, really has the intent of turning, not just riding, and he gets rewarded with that.
So he gets 2 near fall, gives up the escape. So Majero lead 4-2, and he's being real active shooting on that left leg of Ruano.
Right. Well, Ruano's got to do a better job with defense. You know, right now, any kind of a reshot or counter that he wants to try is being stuffed because he's allowing Majera in too deep. He's got to set his defense better, and he's got to get on the attack here and move his feet a little.
I was going to say it'd be nice to see him be a little more active. There he goes, right away to an inside shot.
Yeah, those are the angles that he wants, and even if he doesn't score off this, that's something that he's going to create openings. And Majera does a great job of getting him down to his hip here.
And he's got that far leg trap.
Yep, this is a scoring opportunity right here for him.
40 seconds left, second period, 6-2 in favor of Nate Majera. Staying tight, hip to hip. Look where his right hip is, just basically laying on Ruano's hips and making it real hard for him to build up and do things. Trying to slide a leg in, which for a big kid is kind of an unusual type of move, but he worked real hard to try and get it there.
Well, he's doing a real good job of keeping Ruano's hips plastered to the mat.
15
and he's
seconds.
active.
Working the arm bar off the head lever again. Imperial ends 6-2. And Majera will have choice. He goes bottom here.
Ruano's really got his work cut out for him here. He's got to get going.
Basically going to have to throw him because he cuts him there 7-2.
Well, in this situation, too, you work on these situations in practice. You know, obviously you need a 5-point move in this situation, but what you need to do right now is score something offensively. So any kind of takedown here, Ruano needs to score and get him on the defense and try to open him up a little bit.
That's why if I'm coaching Majera, I'm telling him just continue shooting and be aggressive.
Stay on your offense.
Yeah, Ruano got in a shot, nice little hip whizzer with it, and Majera just looking tough. He just ran that real hard, got the takedown, and going to get 2 backs off of it too. Ruano's going to get a reversal.
See Coach Nance is in the corner and making sure Majera doesn't have any type of a relapse here. He's going to keep aggressive, keep moving.
Yeah, you know as well as I do from dealing with high school kids, that's the biggest problem sometimes, keeping them focused, because he's basically got to get pinned to lose right now.
Right.
12-4 with just over a minute left in the third period. Again, in on a nice shot.
On that leg, and Ruano tries a desperation.
Tried something maybe silly, but you know, you're here to win.
Yeah.
And now he's in big trouble. So we're at 45 seconds.
You know, and again, you know, you can't underestimate the power of those revenge matches, and we see it down here all the time when you have young men that meet in that sectional final. Many times that match goes the other way just a week later, as these first 2 tonight have gone.
Well, we've seen it even, and continuing with that, sometimes a match from the night, next week in the dual part of it, different result as far as doing things. Maybe even on Tuesday night it might occur.
And that's a whole nother story too.
But we're inside 10 seconds. And Nate Majera from Wakanda High School, coached by Tom Nance. Going to go out 48-1 as a senior, and sounds like he just had a tremendous career up there.
Yeah, he's a big, strong young man, and obviously is now the state champion at 220 pounds.
All right, now they're going to have a break while they give out the awards from 195 pounds. You want to go through, Coach, and tell us about the kids who will get the awards at 220?
I'm here with Nate Majera from Wakana. Just won an exciting bout, and a turnaround from last week. Tell me your thoughts about this match.
I thought I wrestled really good. Every single day at practice, we just practiced him. I remember my heavyweight is going after me every single day, working to get me better. He's one of the main reasons I'm standing here. If it wasn't for our heavyweight Max Taliano, I wouldn't have been able to do so well.
It was very obvious that you went out to win that match. You weren't thinking about the previous result. You were thinking about winning tonight, weren't you?
Yeah, I know. My coaches definitely stressed it big. They're like, hey, you got to go out there, you got to wrestle your match. And then instead of game plan where I just beat on his head for a minute, I decided to get away from that game plan since I thought I had a high crotch.
Great game plan. Congratulations.
This isn't a game. There's no playbook. This is a battle.
Tanner is a big, strong kid and hasn't lost a match in 2 years here. And, he has been rolling this year, and he's very, very tough to score on and really wrestles in good position. I believe he's going to play football at Nebraska next year.
That's what I understand.
And Michael's a junior, transferred in this year as a junior and did not wrestle in Illinois, was out in Pennsylvania, and his family moved, and so now he is at Montini. And Michael has himself had a great year this year and wrestled a lot of quality competition. So this could be one of the feature matches tonight, I think, Kevin.
Yeah, I remember Michael back in the kids program, and he was very dominant in the IKWF series. So, yeah, obviously you've seen the Montini singlets, the gold with the black, Farmer being the bright red singlet, and Dan Fulcher is our referee for this one. I've always enjoyed watching Johnson because he's so active for a heavyweight. Like you said, Farmer's so hard to score on. We'll see how he can do. Farmer's actually in on a nice shot if he can stay in bounds. Johnson kicks out.
And I'll tell you something right now that I've noticed here, Kevin. In the three matches we've had, 3 matches in the upper weights here with Montini guys in the matches, all 3 of their opponents have come right out and gone right after him.
Yeah, real good point. In other words, maybe want to get some confidence early.
Absolutely. And Johnson has a nice single leg attack that he uses, and I've seen with Farmer's more of a straight-on guy. Again, very good position.
He's in on another shot.
There's a double.
Johnson's got the front headlock, head in the ribs, good body position for both. Johnson's trying to walk him. It's going to be hard for either one to score just based on where they are on the mat.
Johnson would love to have this situation in the middle of the mat. He feels he could extend him and work out and score.
Because of the high school rules, for him to score,
right,
he had to spin out of bounds, even though he initiated the move inbounds. So we're inside 50 seconds left in the first period. Again, we started the night at 195, so this is our 3rd match, and we'll go down and pick up the little guys here after this one.
Your 1A champion, a senior from Gibson City, and now
arm drag.
State champion.
Both of them are being real active, even though the score is 0-0. We've seen a lot of action out of the 2 of them. Inside 20 seconds now.
Both working for inside position in here. Farmer to me looks pretty much all at 285 pounds.
Well, they say he had the cut from a little over 300 to get there.
And
he carries it real well.
Yeah, Johnson, I know in the fall was right around that 300 plateau too, but he's worked himself in. It's interesting. He's a little lighter than that. He's about 265 to 270. He says he feels a little better there.
And again, coin flip came up. Johnson wins it, and we talk about consistently. In this case, you probably don't want to defer. If they go to the ultimate tiebreaker, you get choice, and he did choose bottom. Right away comes that tripod stand or power stand. Farmer does a nice job if he gets sucking back and gets some backs. He's working at it. See if he got the two. Yes, he did. Real nice suck back. That's the problem with the big kids, and they sit out. And
right.
Now he's got the arm bar locked.
He's getting another set of back points. Farmer is really, again, turned up the notch on this.
Two-time state champion, Tanner Farmer from Highland. Just a tremendous, came out again like you talked about already. Come out, do things hard early, and you catch some people off guard or off balance. And that's pretty much what occurred again for the third match in a row.
I'm here with Tanner Farmer from Highland. Great match. It looked like you set out to dominate, and that's exactly what you did. Was that what's going through your mind at the beginning of the match?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I just wanted to take it to him. I wanted to pressure him. I know earlier in the tournament, I've been kind of holding it back a little bit, kind of preparing for this match. And, I just want to go out there and take it to him. I wanted to get the first point scored. And, I was lucky enough to catch him with the chicken wing and turn him.
Yeah, you put it all together. You're one of the big guys that had to cut a little bit of weight to get to 285. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I had to cut 30 pounds.
Wow, you look really great out there. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
There comes a point in your life that determines who you are, whether you will lead or follow, whether you will fight or give in, whether you will win or lose, and what you will count as your victory.
That hit real close to home. Mike Bear from Illinois Matman Administrator is less than a mile from his house. Could have very easily got through there, but he was real fortunate. You just had to see this to understand the devastation that was involved. But here we go. We're at 106. Moody in the white singlet, representing Rich Central, ranked number 1 in the state. Edelin from Oak Forest, ranked number 2. He's a junior, and he'd be in the goldish with the black stripes on it. Moody seems to be real active right now.
Moody is doing a great job with his hands, to start off the match. Nice job on that cross tip there.
I like that when boy with long arms can do something like that. Edelman doing a good job controlling the elbow off the front headlock. Moody trying to jack his head down so he can move with it.
He wants to control that. And it's interesting when we used to talk about that a lot. Back in my coaching days, when you look at that position, that front lean position, whatever you want to call it, when you score early, you have when you're active early, you have the best chance to score. The longer you're in that position, the less time you're going to have. Great hand control there by Edelin. Awesome job.
Yeah. Trying to lock up a Whizzer to keep the takedown away. Moody's coming up with it, needs to walk him into him. It's kind of a weird looking position there.
Boy, Edelin comes out of this. Boy, what a...
Now lock up his cradle if he could get those hands locked. Moody trying to muscle through. Great scramble. I don't know if there's a wrestling move involved in all that, but they just basically scrambled around and put themselves in a position to score.
I'll tell you what stuck out, and if you watch that scramble, you're going to see that whole thing was defense and started by Francis Edelin's great wrist control. He was on that wrist, and he did not allow Moody to come across and score, and that's what got him out of that situation. He did a great job there.
And on a nice tight shot again, and there'd be your takedown. Moody leads 2-0 with just under 30 seconds to go in the first period. It'd be a big ride out. We always talk about score last in a period. This is where Edelman's really got to make some. He's up. Wrist trap through the crotch. Again, real tight, staying on the hips, feeding the wrist through. I like the way he stays active up there on top. Period ends 2-0.
Well, he's doing a tremendous job, excellent job of making sure that he is active. And, you know, that's something that I think is, you know, commendable to him. I believe we've got Scott Holbrook on the whistle for this match.
Yeah, and Chris Camps, his assistant there. So Edelman will take the bottom. Gets to a nice sit out off of a half stand. Like you've talked about, he didn't control the hand that time, and Moody's real tight with the wrist. Knee in a nice position, jump sides. Boy, he's showing some tremendous strength there. Oh,
that's a headshot there.
Yeah, you could see it from our angle. He came right down on the head.
Now there has been no illegal move call.
Now he brought him under control,
Yes.
just the way
I'm here with Jabari Moody, your 106-pound champion. Jabari, early in the match, there was a scramble there. It looked like it was going to go either way. What were your thoughts there?
Well, I knew he was going to try to move, so I really tried to just prevent it. But once he hit it, I thought I had to grab his leg so he wouldn't be able to turn and get a two or back points out of it.
After the first scramble, you went right on the attack, but it's unfortunate that the match had to end that way. But can you explain what actually happened to cause that injury?
Well, he went to stand up, and I lift to return, and his head hit the mat. I guess he didn't defend himself when he came down so quickly, so I guess that's how his neck got injured.
Yep, it was a perfectly legal move, so there's nothing that you did on your part. Congratulations, Jabari Moody, the 106-pound state champion.
Thank you.
Well, I think adversity can hit you in 1,000 different ways. Major adversities is something that, if they haven't hit you, sooner or later will. But to be honest with you, aside from the sport of wrestling, I had never really done it in life. I have some kids with real tough lives, who have seen real hardship. 1 or 2% of the population are naturally driven, and the rest of us, we have to find a way to learn it.
All right, we're going to go to 113 pounds, and every year I try and find what I call a feel-good story. This boy from Washington, Ethan Reel, last year undersized, weighed probably 95 to 100 pounds. Because they had Austin Wildman at 106, he had to wrestle 113. Didn't even get out of the regional. Worked at things all spring, all summer for Coach Medlin over there. Now he's a full-size 113. He's wrestling for a state championship, but he's got his hands full with this Dan Swan from Oak Forest.
Well, Danny Swan obviously is a defending state champ from last year at 106. So he is, you know, got quite a resume himself. So again, this shapes up to be a great match.
And again, when we mentioned our rankings, Swan's ranked first, Reel third, and those are the GEI Wrestling Apparel rankings through Illinois Mapman. Swan's in on that sweep single, got the leg up. Reel does a nice job of using his hips. He's got some real strong hips, Coach.
No, he works
got
that.
bailed out of that pretty well.
Right, he comes back behind the knee, works that cradle as a counter. What a great job there.
Again, had a great semifinal match. Behind late in the match, comes to his feet and threw a boy to get 5 right at the end to win it. Again, stalemate call. We'll come back to our feet. Minute left, first period. Both of them seem to be real comfortable trying to grab wrists and move around with maybe a Russian or a drag, something like that. And like we talked about, Coach Medlin's got a real distinct Greco background for his kids.
Right. Again, they're in that front lean or front headlock position, and the longer you're in that position, the less chance there is going to be.
Yeah.
You know, the scoring goes down by percentages the longer that you're in that position now.
We used to call that a 3-second move. You can't score in
Yep.
3 seconds, bail out and do something else, because
There
you're
you go.
right, you're not going to be able to do too much. A lot of hand fighting going on right now. We're inside 20 seconds left in the period. Reel should just shoot him out there so the refs aren't going to hit him for stalling. But Swan did a nice job circling back to the middle. And period ends 0-0.
Active first period. Both guys were trying to open up and try shots.
And again, we talked about right away, you win the toss. Coach Forrest tells them go down just in case they go to the ultimate tiebreaker. But I've watched Rio wrestle this weekend. He's pretty solid on top. We'll see if he can do some things. Likes to use tips and legs and so on. Got him in bad position. I just don't know if he's strong enough to finish it. Might be the difference between a junior and a sophomore, that extra year of maturity. Perfect body position, tried to get the hip in.
Well, he was close to scoring with that.
Swan earns the escape, 1-0, so we're going to be back on our feet. Swan's real active with shooting to Real's right leg. He's done a nice job. Got the front headlock locked up again. Real comes up out of it.
Oh, it's a nice shot with that ankle.
Far leg, real nice. Real competes real hard so far. No points yet, but there's the two.
There's the two. He's got
Swan.
control. He's got that butcher situation there impending. Now he's going to jump in the hole, cradle. He's got to go hip to hip here.
Boy, did he do that hard too, didn't he? Real pops the arm out. It's going to make it hard for him to turn him from where they are.
Right.
Trying to twist him so he can use it. 55 seconds left, second period. Working cross-face series again. Real needs to get a fresh start. There he did. Got his hips moving to the outside. Swan would have rode him all day from there. Had the leg hooked and riding real solid with the cross-face. Big points to score here for Real if he could. 3-0. 36 seconds left.
Well, to get it back in the match, he's got to score here at the end. He's got to get out.
He'll get
He'll be able to cut this down.
in the third, but
right. Sure would be nice for him to be able to get a point here to kind of get some momentum back. But Swan is very, very tough on top.
Solid up there on top. So here's where you got to make a decision. If you're Coach Medlin over there, you need 3 points. You're going to take bottom after you've been ridden this solid, or you're going to take top, which might be your best position to try and win the match. You see what they come up with.
Right. Well, they might go neutral here, too.
Okay, he's saying down. He's got some confidence. He can get himself moving down there and get the escape and then get the takedown to tie it. We'll see what happens. Right away, he comes to his feet. He's getting to that tripod stand without hand control, though.
Right, right. And Danny is definitely taking advantage of that now.
Yes, he is.
He's going to take this out. He
wants
to try to get that wrist down to the hip the other side. He wants to bring that ankle up to the head.
Locked up a cradle off the scramble off of it.
And he wants to get behind that leg with both of his feet. And he's going to walk at that head. It's going to be a very tight position.
Well, I just like the way he does things. He used 3 or 4 different pinning combinations.
Right.
Now he's got that cradle just buried. Yep, there's the fall. Again, worked an armbar, hammer lock, and ended up with the cradle just because he kept moving around. And that's your state champ. This will be his second championship. Dan Swan from Oak Forest. He's a junior. He's now 42 wins and 1 loss.
I'm here with Dan Swan from Oak Forest, the 112-pound state champion. Dan, you wrestled pretty dominant there. You won the state title last year. You looked pretty confident out there. What were your thoughts in that match?
I knew I had to be aggressive. I had to be on my game because when I'm lazy, I don't get what I want, so I got to go out there and I got to work for it. And I went out there and I pushed myself.
Awesome. Congratulations. 112-pound state champion, Dan Swan.
The Illinois Wrestling Coaches and Officials Association is the professional organization for wrestling coaches and officials in the state of Illinois. The IWCOA recognizes the accomplishments of groups and individuals at their annual All-State and Hall of Fame banquets, as well as sponsors the Fresh Off State Tournament Series, the Midwest Nationals Wrestling Tournament, and the Illinois-Indiana All-Star Duels, which take place this coming Sunday, March 16th at Hinsdale South High School. To learn more about the IWCOA and their membership benefits, visit iwcoa.illinoismatmen.com.
Another aspect we look for when we look at anybody that's a prospective football player, I like to see if they're multiple sport athletes. And, you know, I really, in this day and age, People try to encourage specialization. I'm not a big fan of that, quite frankly, with high school athletes. And we always like it when we get guys that are multiple sport athletes. And I've had 3 sons that have come to the University of Iowa and played football that all were multiple sport athletes. And I learned back in the 80s just the value of wrestling when I came here as an assistant coach in 1981. Needless to say, coming to Iowa, there were a lot of former high school wrestlers on our team. And being a line coach, I worked with a lot of those guys. Our defensive linemen, a lot of those guys were wrestlers as well. So that was really kind of my initiation to the sport. And when I really began to see some of the real values, so whether you want to talk about leverage and hand placement, things of that nature, but also I think just the competitive nature of being a high school wrestler, the hard work that's involved. I don't know if there's a sport that's more challenging or demanding from a physical standpoint, and I would suggest the same from the mental standpoint too, the challenges of being out there on the mat and being the only one out there. So, you can't blame the guy to the left of you or the right of you. When you're out on that mat against your opponent, it's you against him strictly. So, it's I think a great sport, and it provides great training for anybody that wants to play college football.
We'll see what he can do here, because like I said, Akins, he's the real deal.
He's as
here.
tough as they come.
Yes, he is. Again, Duncan would be in the Montini black, and Akins is in the, I guess that's silver and dark gray, whatever the case happens to be.
Charcoal. Kevin.
Okay, good. That's a good color.
Like fashion connoisseurs like myself, we call that charcoal.
Okay. Akins in on his shot. Again, unfortunately, the high school rule right there. Beautiful shot. Wasn't given a chance to finish it because of where the feet and knees ended up.
A senior from Libertyville with a record of 42-1, Steve Polakowski. With all 113-pound place winners.
A lot of hand fighting going on. Duncan's got that Russian locked up. Right away changed off, tried to hit a tip off the Russian and couldn't quite finish. That was nice. Locked it up, stepped around, and tried to carry, tip him, whatever you want to talk about it. Right. And got there really well.
Now Akins did a nice job of countering that. Almost caught his arm in there, and that could have been a takedown, a near fall situation. Duncan likes that. Now what he's got to work to do, he's got to work to get that head under the other side. And that's when he can really score off of that. Akins knows that. That's what he's doing, to try to post his own head there.
I'll try and lock up the Merkel there, see if he's got enough confidence to throw it. Didn't come in. I just like that Duncan's locking up and taking away Akins' speed and agility here. He's making him wrestle his match for right now.
Right, there's a nice shot to a single.
Needs to get his hips moving.
Right. Now Akins wants to keep his chest as tight as he can.
Set back on it, might get a defensive fall here. Staying real active so they don't stalemate him. It's a nice scramble for both kids. Akins doing a great job of playing
Absolutely.
defense. Watch the knee in there. Still scrambling. Now they give
Now they lock it up. He's got that inside
less
leg.
Than 10 seconds left.
Well, that's a big score at that point in the match,
exactly.
because Akins doesn't get a chance now to set his hips and come out and score. He's buried there for the end of the period.
So 2-0 after the period. Early lead for Dylan Duncan from Montini. And you look at his record, Coach, 35-11. You may say, gee, he really had a good year, but the schedule these people wrestle, he's not wrestling. He's wrestling some great competition out there is what it amounts
Absolutely, absolutely.
So Akins will go underneath, right away jump sides to a crunch, jumps back to the other side.
Again, this is one of the strengths, and Duncan is looking to trap that wrist there. He's an excellent tilter, and he really, really works the wing series well.
I was going to say, I think the night we saw him against Duda, he got in an arm bar locked up, and into the turning into a double arm bar to turning.
Absolutely. Akins is in a pretty good position himself right here.
Yeah,
There's a 1 count. Referee Ron Vermillion, we got a 1 count there, very close, but
see, that's
no
the thing about trying to move too much against Duncan. He's consistent, like you say, looking for a fall. He's got that tip locked up, and Akins is really trying to move and get himself out of there. Every time he does, he just gets in a little bit more trouble.
I'll tell you what, that's a big, wrestling such a a sport of inches and a sport of milliseconds, and Twice he tilted him and got a 1 count. If he gets a 2 count, he's in total command of this match. But as it is, it's 2-0.
Aiken's willing to scramble again with him here.
Right. Now he's getting higher now. That's the key now.
Ball.
He's got his hips and his head higher, and he's going to have an opportunity to score here. Duncan's got to reestablish his position, but it's going to be tough because he's got that cross.
Become control.
Absolutely.
Aiken's, great job by Duncan. Put the leg to the other side. We're inside 25 seconds. Big points to score.
Duncan's got to try to slide that arm through. Get control.
And because they're staying so active, we're not getting a stalemate off of all this.
You know, you could tell both boys have a total confidence in their scrambling ability because they don't panic. They don't panic and bail out. And I'll tell you what, that was a very good job there in that exchange, officiating that by official Ron Vermillion.
Yeah, Ron's being helped by John Churchill over here as his assistant. He let him move around.
Absolutely. Well, that's tough.
Big ride out here for Duncan if he can ride the last 5 seconds, and looks like he's going to.
Yeah, great period for Dylan, and being tough on top really paid off for him there.
Like you mentioned at the start of it, it's a great skill to have, and too many kids don't learn that skill. Instead, they just like to do things on their feet. So now Duncan will go underneath third period. Now he's just got to use his head, not do anything silly, and just look for hand control. It's going to be real hard. Aiken's got to either turn him or cut him and take him down a couple of times.
There he is. He's going to be on that shin heist. Good job there. Didn't let that leg come in. Duncan's doing a good job here again, not panicking. He's not allowing himself to be opened up to be scored on.
Yeah, exactly. But doing enough so he doesn't get hit
right.
for stalling.
He gets his hips out, heist situation. He doesn't want to be sucked back in that situation right there.
Moving one way or another.
Right. Be interesting to see how long Aikens is going to stay on top and ride him. Down 2-0.
Longer he stays there, he's got to take him down twice.
Absolutely.
So he's going to make that decision.
When he gets to a minute, now that if he does cut him, he's still going to need 2 takedowns. I think they're committed to staying on top here.
I believe so also. And I can't tell if he's got the leg in or if Duncan caught it coming in.
I think he's underneath it.
Yep, Duncan's got the leg caught. Right. Now he's going to put it behind his head. Now he just needs to start scrambling if he can get his ankle clear.
Right.
That or just do like you talked about, just not make any mistakes. Instead, he steps around.
And he's got a reversal. Now there's a 2 count there.
Yep. Duncan just had a tremendous match so far, Coach. I know there's 30 seconds left, but he's done everything you need to do to be the state champion.
No, the key was the intensity that he came out with, I think, in the first period.
And he's only a sophomore, so we get the opportunity to see him for 2 more years.
Place winners, you should be in the awards area at this time.
And a nice win. Like I said, I really enjoyed watching him up to the Marist Duel, and tonight he did things equally well.
Well, I know having a little bit of a personal history with Dylan, I know that's a very rewarding win for him because he had a very rough time in the beginning of this year and struggled mightily because of his weight and went through some losses that he just wasn't accustomed to going through. And the young man never quit, never gave up, and boy, that's a reward for him right there, a state champion.
I'm here with Dylan Duncan from Montini, the 120-pound state champion. Dylan, it was a great match. You were going against a senior that was undefeated. You had a few losses, so what were your thoughts going into the match?
Well, I thought I was going to try my hardest. It's the whole year in one tournament, so I just wanted to end my year right.
Well, you certainly did. You're only a sophomore. You got a couple more years to go. Are you planning on repeating the next 2 years?
I'm going to try as hard as I can.
Dylan, the 120-pound state champion.
In Stillwater, Oklahoma, the National Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum is truly America's shrine to the sport of wrestling. It is the focal point for the past, the present, and the future of wrestling. It preserves the heritage of the sport, celebrates new achievements, and encourages the youth of our land to aspire to lofty goals. Even though the founding board members represent all regions of the country, they recognize that, like Canton, Ohio, Stillwater, Oklahoma is synonymous with success.
see what his game plan becomes. And again, I'm not real familiar with Richmond Burton, but there are 3 Suttons that made it state tournament. We're assuming they're all brothers or maybe cousins.
Right. Well, Brett Wojcik is the coach, been the coach up there for a while, and he does a great job. They have a nice program, and they have a lot of success every year.
One of my favorite wrestlers, Jordan Blanton, was the original Richmond Burton.
Absolutely.
Okay, again, Calkins would be in the Montini black with the M on the side. Sutton's in the black with maybe some gold and maroon, so it's 2 similar singlets here.
Now, Calkins spent a good part of the year competing at 120 pounds, and then with the adjustment, when Duncan went up and both of them were weighing in at 120 and alternating wrestling 20-26, they came to the conclusion that Duncan would compete at 120 and Calkins would compete at 126 in state series, and
it's worked out well.
Paid off well
both
for
of them
both
get
of
to
them.
the state finals.
Right.
Calkins got both arms locked. Think he's going to be confident enough to try and throw it. Doesn't look like he's got the hips in the right spot.
He might try to shuck it by.
Nice counter to this arm. And there's an early takedown. Tried what we'd call a throw by maybe, and Calkins caught it and ended up shooting and getting in a blast double position.
He sure did. He lowered his level right when he was trying to slide that by and timed that up perfectly.
A big point for Stutton to score to get out of here at the period because there's less than 30 seconds left. Calkins doing a nice job riding that wrist. I really like to watch these wrestlers compete with that wrist ride because there's so many things with the tips and that you can do off of it.
Absolutely, and we're getting better and better as a state, wrestling in that top position, and to be, quite honest, that's what we need to do to climb that. You mentioned all the success we've had as he follows here to end the period. You mentioned all that success we've had with freestyle and Greco, and the last ladder we got to climb as a state is to put more All-Americans on the podium at the NCAA Division I level, and wrestling better in that top position is going to be the key to that.
That's the big part in college wrestling. As you well know, that riding time can kick in and win you so many matches if you can do it and do it correctly. And getting off the bottom is a skill that kids in our state just really don't have.
Absolutely.
So Calkins goes underneath. He's up to his feet again. Sutton being real active to mat returning. He does a nice job. Like the way Calkins, when he got Matt returned, he didn't land on his belly. Right away, he popped back up.
Could be a potentially dangerous situation
exactly
with that
sure
knee. He's got to get that knee down. Sutton is on him, too. Again, both of these guys are excellent riders. Nothing is given away here. Calkins does escape now, make it 3-0.
Minute and a half left in the second period. Again, Sutton needs to score this period, I think, in order to get back in the match. If he takes it to the third, 3 points behind, it's going to be awful hard for him.
Right,
so maybe he should be a little more. But again, Calkins got that Russian locked up. It's hard to score against kids when they use that Russian competitively.
Absolutely. Well, he's got the elbow now in the mat, and again, we're in that position we've talked about before. Yep. He wants to stay under there and control that elbow. Calkins is fine with that time ticking off that clock. He doesn't need to be explosive here or aggressive. He's looking for one opportunity.
Nice
job on a redirect there. He did a real good job switching to the other side and gets rewarded with a score, and now is in total control right now.
Well, you talked about in the sectional, this was 1-0, and Calkins came out with a little bit different game plan, and it's been pretty successful for him. We'll see if Sutton can bounce back in the third period, because I think he'll have choice. And again, you're going to go top to try and pin him to beat him.
Well, that'll be interesting because again, depends on what happens here. If he can get a point here.
He's up to his feet, tries to sit off of it.
Good foul.
Less than 10 seconds. And we'll go to the third period. Calkins from Montini will lead 5-0. Sutton's going to go down.
You know, Mike McCoyak is the assistant official here, and I think Jack Williams He's the head official. My eyes are getting bad, Kevin.
That's what happens when you get old. Yeah, I know. Again, real active on top. Crunched to one side, didn't get him flattened out, so he jumped right away and crunched him to the other side. And these last couple Montini kids, Coach, I know they spend a lot of time under Izzy doing a lot of things on their feet. Well, these two seem to be more of tough kids on top.
That's been the difference.
Is he adjusting his coaching style maybe to some of the different talents that these kids have?
Well, Keegan is, he does a great job at this. Now, in last week's match, this is how the match went. Calkins escaped and scored 1 point, and he rode Sutton for the entire 2-minute period, and that's how he won 1-0. So that aspect is the same. Obviously, adding 2 takedowns has been the difference so far, and why he's
got that arm bar locked up and hips are tight.
You see how he stays on his toes there, and he keeps the pressure and the weight on his opponent.
Yeah, I always tell wrestlers, when you watch this stuff, watch it for enjoyment, obviously, but everybody knows how to do arm bars, things like that. It's all little things, like you mentioned, getting on your toes and driving so that you can keep your weight on it. Maybe putting your hip in the right spot in order to do some things. I don't think wrestlers tend to think about that. They just go out, hit a switch or something. It's not always that easy. So we're inside 40 seconds.
He's done a great job of keeping. Sutton just spent the last 20 seconds with his chest flat, and now Calkins busts him down again here. This is.
I was going to say he's letting them go a long time because Calkins is staying so active, but they did stalemate it.
Right.
30 seconds left, and Sutton's got to hit a big move here.
Calkins switches from one side to the other very well. A great mat return there, Kevin. I once heard Dan Gable speak and say that single leg finish situation. There's a step over attempt. Calkins is just going to spray out of it and stay conservative. Dan Gable said that mat return position and that single leg finish position, the most important positions in wrestling.
Sure it is. I could talk about it. If you can mat return somebody and put yourself in position to score,
absolutely,
that's a major plus. Whereas if you get mat returned and land flat on your belly, you're in big trouble for a while.
Now, so Keegan Calkins does a great job winning his state title.
Yep, 34 and 15 now, a senior. Again, nice way for him to go out. Grant Sutton, only a junior. 38 and 2 is going to finish off the season.
I'm here with Keegan Calkins from Montini, the 126-pound state champion. Keegan, you were really excited at the end. This championship really meant a lot to you. You could tell. Tell me a little bit about how your feelings.
We work so hard at Montini. Every day is a grind. We try so hard, and we strive for the state title. I've been working all my life for this. This is the best moment of my life.
It certainly looks like it. It looks like you controlled the match. You didn't give him a chance to even get back into the match.
Yes, sir. I just wrestled smart. Listen to what my coaches said, and the coach is always right.
Keegan Calkins, 126 pounds, state champion.
The Illinois Wrestling Coaches and Officials Association is the professional organization for wrestling coaches and officials in the state of Illinois. The IWCOA recognizes the accomplishments of groups and individuals at their annual All-State and Hall of Fame banquets, as well as sponsors the Fresh Off State Tournament Series, the Midwest Nationals Wrestling Tournament, and the Illinois-Indiana All-Star Duels, which take place this coming Sunday, March 16th at Hinsdale South High School. To learn more about the IWCOA and their membership benefits, visit iwcoa.illinoismatmen.com.
So why don't you go ahead and give us a little background about the two guys we've got going for it.
Well, both of these young men are previous state place winners. Alexander Butler of Boylan, and he's 40-3 coming into this match. And of course, Kenny Baldridge from Morris. And Kenny has also had a tremendous season. He's 40-1. Coming in this match, and as you said, another rematch of last week's sectional, so it should be a barn burner.
And we'll see how it changes. Last week, Butler was able to shoot takedowns on him and score pretty consistently, and Baldridge is usually so hard to score on, so it's kind of a unique situation. But Butler pretty much dominated the match, so we'll see what Baldridge can do to change it off. Like you say, both these wrestlers have had great careers, and Butler only being a junior, we'll get the opportunity to see him again next year.
There's a good clean shot there. And again, you know, as you say, you talk about from a week-to-week matchup, and that's one of the things. I mean, Butler, you know, as you said last week, had a lot of success being able to take Baldridge down. And so again, if that doesn't happen going to plan, and if Baldridge is able to make an adjustment and be better defensively as he has done the first minute of this match, how does that play into Butler's mind? That's one of the things I know that these young men think about.
And Morris coach John Lanning does a great job with these kids. We get to wrestle against them in the tournament during the regular season and chance to see them at the sectional, and their kids are all so well coached.
Well, Baldridge is doing an excellent job of staying on and stalking.
Yep.
You know, we used to talk about that all the time, about never coming up out of your stance. Don't give him an opening at all to be able to misdirect you or get underneath. He's stalking, he's staying low, and Butler really has to work.
He's trying to take away Butler's quickness, I think, by doing all that.
Right. So far, he's had a very good game plan in his first period.
We're inside 45 seconds.
Please report to the awards area. All 126-pound place winners, please report to the awards area.
And Jeff Bowers would be our head referee here, and Jeff Sorensen's working with him.
Two very veteran officials, a lot of state tournament experience between them.
And again, sometimes I know as coaches and fans, we don't give referees enough credit. These guys got the toughest job in the world. Every time they make a call, half the world hates them, the other half likes them, and things like that. But it's just a matter of, you know, they come out, tough tournament the whole weekend, and they got to bring their A game for the finals, just like
great
this.
shot
Nice
by Butler there.
And there would be a takedown with less than 15 seconds.
Right.
And you talked about in the last match, you got to be able to score last if you get taken down.
Absolutely.
So late in the period makes it so hard for you. Oh, nice scramble there.
Great job by,
tremendous
job
scramble.
by Baldridge.
I don't exactly know what you'd call that move he did, but he seemed to hit it. He came to his feet, hooked the leg, and just started rolling. So that was a pretty move.
He took that leg and brought it up through his legs and sat back on it and did a great job. And I tell you, that was a huge score for Baldridge.
Puts
now
him right in the match.
All that work and everything that Butler was able to do is negated now because it's in essence it's a 0-0 match.
26-pound place winners, you should be reporting to the awards area.
Again, they had a false start, but Jeff Bowers said it was on another whistle, so no Boyd be penalized. They're trying to get the clock reset to 2 minutes.
Right.
They've got that done, so we're all set and ready to go again. Nice quick stand. Boyd, he come to his feet and clear that arm real well. Didn't get the hand control right away. Again, watch and see if he uses the same explosive start. That left leg and left arm came up really well.
Right. Well, you can tell both of these young men have great hip strength and core strength. Their ability to power up and to finish things.
Well, I'm still a firm believer that's the most important part of your body for wrestling. You mentioned core, hip, and upper thighs there. If you can know how to use those, you can really have some success.
Baldridge did on a
Nice
shot there. Excellent job. Now let's see. Butler rolls through
and foot stepped out.
Score on the edge.
So still 3-2, favor Butler, 1:23 left, second period.
And Butler has been warned for stalling. That was a great job.
Yeah, Butler's getting in on those shots, but Baldridge's doing a good job at getting the hips on him,
and
so
you can
he can't keep moving.
You can see it's taking its toll on Butler. He's used to finishing that shot. Now, one of the things that I would wonder about, and you know, Baldridge's stance, he's definitely keeping that left leg back, and he's making Butler attack him square on. He's not able to get hip finish and foul. The nice single that Butler was able to finish earlier in the match was into more of a squared up stance. So I think Baldridge and his coaches have probably worked with him all week about keeping that leg back and making him switch off his shot and his attack.
Yeah, good. Yeah, exactly.
Again, forces him to come straight on with that double attack. And
oh, nice reshot. Trying to stay active. Like I said, Baldridge just really hard to score on right now. And you're right, look at that front leg, just daring him to come to that one. but he's protecting it real well with that front hand.
Right, he's ready to down block, and
we're inside 15 seconds, still 3-2 second period.
You know, sometimes as a wrestler, you know, when you're coaching, that's all that it takes is one slight adjustment sometimes, especially at the high school level where these guys are very heavy, dominated to one side, right-handed, left-handed, you know, right leg, left leg in terms of their attack. When you get into college, obviously, that thins out and guys are able to kind of, you know, ride on both sides and do everything from both sides. But at the high school level, it can be a big advantage.
And he's going to cut him. We'll be 3-3 with 1:55 left. So we get a chance to see here. There's a lot of actions are going to take place, I think, in the next minute and 50 seconds. See who's able to score. See if he can keep the toes
in.
Yeah.
He got that takedown. Now Baldridge right now, the energy level is starting to separate. You can see it. He's got Butler on the run here. Butler's laboring when he's breathing, coming back to the middle. But I'm sure being a caliber of wrestler he is, he's got another gasp.
He gets to his feet so well. Doesn't necessarily get hand control while he does it, but he gets up there. Sofa needs to stay in bounds. And again, rule says Red has to return him to the mat, and he got warned for it. Doesn't cost him this time, but it could come into play a lot later on. Trying the mat return, and he's going to get himself in trouble. Oh, nice kick through, and there's the escape.
Butler.
So it'll be 5-4 with 1:25 seconds.
There he shoots to that leg again, gets that single. That's the deepest shot he's had.
The applause you're hearing. Josh Albert from Dakota just won his 4th straight state championship, and he's had just a tremendous career over there for Dakota, Class A wrestler. So we're still back here 5-4 in favor of Baldridge. We're 1:15. Butler's making a lot of efforts to get in there, but like you've talked about, he can't get the corner turn.
Now Baldridge right now, he's got to sense what's going on. He's got to get some type of a misdirection step, and he's got to get a shot off here, or he's going to get hit again for stalling.
Yeah, a nice safe thing would be to shoot now. If you don't score, you still got plenty of time to get the escape to get out of there, because Butler hasn't really shown the propensity to ride him on top of it. You don't want that stalling call to hurt you.
That's all part of match management, and obviously that's a big part of that. Or is it a super duck there? He's got those double unders.
Neither one of them's going to throw it, I don't think, here. Baldridge should just stay right there, stay in bounds, and delay the time, run down the time. Jeff Bowers breaks and brings him back to the center because he saw nobody was going to be able to score. Butler's in on another shot. And see, here's where that warning for stalling when he couldn't mat return could come into play. Because otherwise he could just play defense consistently. Now he doesn't have that luxury because it would cost him the point.
Butler really wants to get on that angle again. That's what he's thinking.
One more good shot. There's
there's a stalling.
You could
Tough
see it
call
coming
right there.
You could see it coming. So now we're inside 20 seconds. So here's where you got to use your head. You don't want to try anything silly. Cost yourself late, but stay active enough. Where
that was a nice job on that underhook. He almost threw that over.
And we'll go to 5 seconds left. And we'll go to our first overtime of the night. Again, first period or first part of it. First point would win. They've both been warned for stalling, so that could come into play here. Because Butler's being real active as far as trying some things. Hasn't had much success, but he's more than willing to come in there and shoot. Could throw position, didn't want to take the chance. Now he's locked up on the shoulder.
That shoulder lock. See if he comes up. Butler did a great job of the Baldridge in deep now. He's got to get right back and trip straight back. He needed the trip with the other leg, but he got him to his back, and there's the point.
And now he's going to let him try and finish it for the fall. Boy, nice scramble. A shot, counter. We probably saw 4 or 5 things during that scramble.
Kenny Baldridge from Morris, what a tremendous effort there.
Great match for both of them. So again, Kenny Baldridge, 41-1 as senior, going out with the state championship. Alexander Butler, only a junior from Rockford Boylan, ends up 40-4. And again, change from last week in the sectional. We've seen that 2 or 3 times now already.
I'm here with Kenny Baldridge from Morris, the 132-pound state champion. Tell me a little bit about that match. It looked like you were set out to be a state champion tonight. It was apparent from the very beginning. Tell me your thoughts.
Yes, I wrestled him at sectionals, and I figured out how he wrestled because I lost to him there. And I figured out the direction I needed to circle. So I circled that direction and practiced my defense so that he couldn't get me with that sweep single and score. And if he did, I knew I had to get at least a reversal or one to keep it close. So I just came up with a game plan and stuck to it the whole entire match. And I figured I have more of a will, and it's my last year, and I got nothing to lose.
Awesome job. Congratulations. 132-pound state champion.
There comes a point in your life that determines who you are, whether you will lead or follow, whether you will fight or give in, whether you will win or lose, and what you will count as your victory.
Again, this should be a great match for us, Coach.
Right.
Turk ranked first according to GEI wrestling rankings. Taborn's ranked third.
Well, you know, obviously Taborn is pretty slick, and Turk is a grinder, so this could be a style.
Nice blast shot. I like the way he used that Russian, or the 2-on-1 as some people call it. Gave it up and took the steps and ended up in a double position. That was nice.
A junior with a record of 42-6 from Martini, Vincent Turk. And in Class 3A,
Taborn seems real comfortable shooting from a distance, getting in there and using his quickness and athleticism.
his opponent, a junior from
Let's see if Turk tries to close the gap and get in tight to him so he can't be able to do that.
Well, Turk wants to get his hands on him. He wants to tie him. He wants to use his ties, his Russian ties, and kind of wear him down. He wants to move him around and get him in the angles that he wants to get him at. So right now you can see both wrestlers trying to get themselves set up in terms of getting their offenses rolling. Taborn's very smooth and wants to hit that explosive shot.
You mentioned earlier you get a chance to watch films and tapes on kids and stuff to help you prepare. Anymore with the internet and all that, boy, that's available to you. And I know back when you were involved with coaching, you had was a good assistant who did a lot of that work for you as far as dual setup matches and who you wanted where and stuff. And I don't think people really appreciate how important that is to a program.
Well, it's like anything else. I mean, you could take, you know, football, you could take wrestling, you could take tiddlywinks. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, the people that put time above and beyond and find ways to have an edge, those people are going to be successful. And so if it means spending extra time breaking down some film and putting together a game plan or preparing, especially in a dual situation, for, you know, certain teams that have certain tendencies and the way that they teach certain things, you know, that's just going to make you that much better. But every sport is the same that way. It's not rocket science, obviously. It's just, you know, putting that time in and doing those things the right way.
We're inside 20 seconds, still 0-0, which would take me to my next question. You watch a boy compete and do some things. Taborn's got a mat return him to score here off the takedown, and he can't do it because they go out of bounds. We'll see if we get a flea in the mat.
The referees are discussing that, and they gave him a flea in the mat call.
Tough call, because basically that's your only counter to that, is being able to move forward, and he ended up off the mat.
That's where it's now Turk had a shot. He went after that right leg, and Taborn did a great job dragging him by.
But my question would be, how much do you change what your wrestler does? In other words, you know somebody's going to do something. Do you change your game plan? Or do you say, hey, my guy's pretty good, let's just stick with this, but be aware that he's got this going for him?
Well, I think that's the key, you know, because you don't want to change too much, but at the same time, you want to give your kid the best opportunity possible, you know, to be able to win. So it really becomes, that's a great element of coaching, is knowing how hard to push those changes and how to back off. So
Turk's to his feet, getting some hand control, was there again.
Now there's a stalling call there. Now Turk has had his best opportunities to score when he's gotten underneath there on that straight on double. A lot of his been, he's popped up on that Russian tie, and he's got it off the edge of the mat. He hadn't been able to score on it. Let's see if he goes back to that now.
Taborn had one real unfortunate circumstance. Not only get warned for stalling, but gave up the escape too. And you either want to do one or the other in most cases. Next points here could be huge. We'll see who's willing to take the chance. Taborn doing a nice job controlling the wrist, but again, I think that's more where Turk wants to be. He wants to be in this position. Got that Russian locked up.
There it is again. See, he's had that 3 times now on the edge, and he just got to be able to hit that in the middle. He comes off and he slams that and he pops that up.
And we're 1-1 with just over a minute left.
Here he comes again. He's going to try to rotate that back out in front, pop that up.
And he's used it offensively. I guess my point would be, what's your counter to it? If you're Taborn on this, and he's consistently doing that to you. There's a takedown at the edge of the mat. He finally got it to work for him. 3-1 Turk lead.
Great job right there. Well, basically, when you're looking at that, it's all about positioning. You know, you got to make sure that you don't allow his head on the same side as that Russian tie, because then he's going to move you all over the mat, and he's going to be able to dictate to you. So, you know, your head position defensively, you know, and you've got to be able to work your redrags and, you know, your counter to that. And it's all about position. You got to win the position.
Taborn's on his feet, bails out, gets the one, 3-2. We're at 40 seconds left in the second period.
Big score there for Taborn.
Yeah. Like Coach just said, look where Turk's trying to get his head, and Taborn's not letting it get there this time.
Right. Now, Taborn needs to get back on his offense and his explosive shots. He doesn't want to be tied up in there with Turk. That's Turk's game. He wants to be able to create angles here and get back on those explosive shots. And he ends up going chest to chest and ear to ear. That's not where he wants to be.
We're at 14 seconds left, second period, still 3-2 in favor of Vince Turk.
There it is again.
Nice blast shot. And
circles it on, keeps it on.
Let's see if they count this one. That was going to be right at the buzzer. Good guts. From our angle, that looks like a good call, because we had a perfect chance to see. We're looking right at the clock, and came over and asked his assistant referee, and the assistant referee was very animated, saying, no, that's not points. So now we'll go to the third period. Again, assuming Taborn gets his escape here, we're going to be even 3-3.
Turk does do a good job on top.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's got that hip in the right spot. He's looking really good off the first initial breakdown.
You should be in the awards area at this time.
Unless he can flatten him out here and keep his chest, he's going to try to ride him.
Taborn needs to get a fresh start, get his hips moving a little bit to the right.
That's what he had. That's what he was eyeing right there. You could tell that.
Just have to do it constructively.
Right.
And if I'm Turk, boy, I just try and stay right there for as long as possible. We're at 1:20, third period. Now let's see if Taborn explodes off this start. Last one, he really didn't. I don't know if he didn't anticipate the whistle, or that's his style where he comes up methodical, but he allowed Turk to get him broken down.
Back pressure
yeah.
Yep.
And now he's up, and Turk basically cut him. We're 3-3 with 1:03 seconds left. Now, if you're either wrestler, how quick do you start doing things? You're going to set it up, maybe go with 30 seconds, or you go now in case it doesn't work?
Well, I think it's all about an opening. You know, Turk is obviously going back to his bread and butter right there. He scored with that before. So whenever he gets a chance to get in there chest to chest, that's what he's going to do.
41 seconds left.
Taborn really wants to get some shot fakes going. He wants to get some angles here. That's where he wants to be. He doesn't want to be tied up here with Turk. That's Turk's game. Of course, Turk wants to work right inside again. Boom. snap that up. He's having good success.
Boy, he's getting in there tight. Taborn's just doing a nice job of bailing out. We're inside
Absolutely.
15.
There's
Ankle
a nice
pick.
ankle pick on the edge.
Just keep the whizzer if you're Taborn. Not much time. We're inside 3. And that period ends. We'll go to overtime. Again, first point would win.
Taborn's coach is yelling,
Yeah.
no rushing in the corner.
Exactly.
They've seen enough of that.
Again, Taborn's letting him get the Russians on,
Right.
but Taborn's doing a good job of keeping his body so he can't step back to his right to hit that blast
Right.
double. Yeah, their coaches from Springfield would really like to see him get to a shot, but he can't
Right.
get there. Because
Right, there's a quick start right there.
it's messed him up off the whistle. Now he's got the leg up. Turk's in great position to score here. And there's the 2
And
to
there's
win
the
it.
2. A quick shot in overtime.
Again, changed his style. Before he'd been basically real methodical, locking up the Russian, and all of a sudden, off a fresh start, he got into a shot and ended up scoring to win himself the match. So in overtime, your winner from Montini, Vince Turk, only a junior, second last year, got his state championship this year.
We can have your attention to the 1A award stand.
I'm here with Vince Turk from Montini, the 138-pound state champion. Vince, tell me a little bit about what you were thinking in that overtime.
I just wanted to be on the attack, get to my shots, make sure I scored, not let him get in on any cheap takedowns.
Yeah, you came close so many times in the regulation period. It was anybody's match in the overtime. It looked like you were determined to win tonight.
Yes, I knew. I had to put it all on the line right there, overtime. Last takedown for state title.
You're a senior. How does it feel?
I'm a junior.
Oh, you're a junior. How does it feel then? You got another year.
Feels good. I'm ready for another one next year. I'm glad I got this one out of the way.
Vince Turk, 138-pound state champion from Montini.
In Stillwater, Oklahoma, the National Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum is truly America's shrine to the sport of wrestling. It is the focal point for the past, the present, and the future of wrestling. It preserves the heritage of the sport, celebrates new achievements, and encourages the youth of our land to aspire to lofty goals. Even though the founding board members represent all regions of the country, they recognize that, like Canton, Ohio, Stillwater, Oklahoma is synonymous with success.
Set here at 145 pounds, Garcia in the Montini gold and black. Howard from East St. Louis in the orange, white, and blue.
145 and 2A. A senior with a record of 38-5 from Montini, Chris Garcia. His opponent is a senior with a record of 34-2 from East St. Louis, Sir Romeo Howard. And in Class 3A, a sophomore from Rockton, Hanamiga, record of 44-4.
Again, Garcia on the tie.
His opponent, a junior from Oak Park, River Forest, with a record of 34-7. Larry Early III.
A little bit of hand fighting going on. It's been a little bit different match than what we've seen so far. Both of them not as active as what we've seen in the earlier matches. Maybe looking for an opening, don't want to make a mistake early. I know I've watched Garcia wrestle a few times, and I use the word conservative. He seems to like to do things under control.
Right, he's a position type wrestler, and he wrestles from position to position, and wants to make sure that he's always maintains that position. So that's kind of the basis of what he does. But he can score from anywhere, and he's a threat in all three phases. He can score obviously on his feet and on the top and the bottom. So
that's a great skill to have when you can feel comfortable doing any one of the three. And like we've talked about, so many kids aren't comfortable with that during their careers.
Again, Howard, we've seen a lot of explosiveness from him throughout this tournament, and you know, he's kind of measuring up Garcia here too. As you said, both boys are kind of in a heavyweight title feeling out kind of stage here. So
now Howard, he's got this unique style. He likes to spend a lot of time when he's on his feet, actually on his knees.
Right.
What would you coach Garcia to do when he spends that time on his knees, as far as trying to do different things to get him off there or to be able to score against him?
Well, it's very tough because obviously, you know, you want to accommodate that, and as Chris Garcia did right there, he just made a mistake. You know, as he's coming up out of that position, he stood up and opened up his legs there. So, you know, Howard does that for a reason, and it's, you know, changing levels, and being able to do that, and plus you are able to defend, and you're closer to the man.
We're inside 5 seconds in the first period. And we'll go to second period, 0-0. And Garcia's going to get choice. And he chooses down, like we talked about, a little bit of strategy involved there. Instead of deferring, just in case you need it, you've got it in your pocket for
Absolutely.
that sudden death.
In a match like this, you know, this is the type of match where that could come, you know, be big later in the match.
Nice sit-out switch, hip heist, whatever you want to call it. Garcia gets the quick escape, and he leads 1-0. Howard's being a little more active now.
Right.
Tried to get him moving a little bit. Garcia misses on the shot right away, gets control of the elbow to get himself back in body position. And good call. There's nobody who's going to score there.
Tim Dodge on the official here, or on the whistle, I should say, a veteran official.
And Jeff Bowers is working with him.
Oh, there's a opportunity. Now Howard's in deep chest to chest.
Yeah. Nice mat return off that. Boy, that's good hip strength.
And there's the explosion that we talked about. Garcia made a mistake, and Howard certainly made him pay.
2-1 now. We're just over 1:10 in the second period. And Garcia's got the whizzer trying to step out in front. Big points to score here. And I'm not thinking Howard's a really good rider, so yeah, he's just going to cut him.
Right.
Or I should say cut him. He's going to go to the freestyle start. We'll see if he drives into a cradle. Nope, just pushed him off. 2-2, minute left, second period.
Howard's trying to get a little upper body, getting chest to chest.
I know he's from that Granite City area where George Kurgan and his dad Alan do a great job at working some of this Greco stuff. So I'm sure he's pretty comfortable doing the upper body types of things.
Sure.
And right away, he's looking for that hook off of it.
Right.
We're at 35 seconds left, second period. Garcia's got the elbow controlled. A little bit of action, no point.
It's just a very athletic move right there.
Yeah.
Garcia actually closed and had a chance to score, and Howard's athleticism got him out.
Here's
It's a great job
just
of control by Garcia.
competitiveness, boy. That wasn't real pretty technique, but he just got so competitive, got the takedown, less than 10 seconds left. Again, big points to score late in the period. And we'll go to the third period, 4-2 in favor of Chris Garcia.
Does a real good job riding him out and not giving back Howard a chance to score back.
Howard's got choice here. We'll see what he wants to do.
They're putting him down.
He says he's going to go down, and from watching Garcia's really been solid on top. So see if Howard can get his hips moving right away and get out of there. Head did get up with hand control. Good call then by him and his coaches. He got the escape, puts him right in the match. He's got that hook in.
Garcia's done a good job trying to counter that hook, and again, went to a shot there to his right leg. Stalemate situation called.
A minute and 39 seconds.
You should be in the awards area at this time.
And see, here's we've talked about Howard obviously needs a takedown, but he's also doesn't feel real comfortable riding him, so maybe he doesn't want to be real active here for the next maybe 30 seconds, maybe about a minute to go to start making his run, but he's going after it real hard. Nice shot. Boy, he got the hips going to the left, too.
Garcia has that
back
finish.
to the right.
He does a real good job of finishing that single. He switches off to it so well, and he finishes it without cutting across to the double. So he keeps that torque on that single leg. It's a nice finish that he does.
So he leads 6-2 with just under a minute left in the match. He needs to stay active with his hands so they don't break it for a stalemate or a stall. He's trying to slide the leg in, and Howard's not going to let it come.
And he's in a wrist butt situation there now. He opens it up and gets that leg in there.
And he'll ride him all day. Nice tight hips. Needs to stay active with the hands, which he's trying to do. Wrist control. Now Howard's really going to struggle to come out of this. Yep, gets the stalemate call. But shorten the match for Garcia. Now he's 25 seconds away from a second state championship.
Right.
Crab ride. Howard's back up. Garcia just should lock on that leg and hold on for dear life. He's 13 seconds away from a state title. Gets warned for stalling. Again, that doesn't hurt him at all.
No.
Cut him, or didn't cut him. He just came up so quick. Less than,
this is a dangerous situation here.
Exactly, because Howard's so athletic and explosive. Garcia just got to stay low and protect himself. 7 seconds. And there's a second state championship for Chris Garcia. Chris, a senior from Montini, he's going to finish his career 39-5. And Sir Romeo Howard from East St. Louis, 34-3. He'll finish second in the state this year.
Great match. Both young men did a great job, brought energy, and a very entertaining match.
I'm here with Chris Garcia, the 145-pound state champion from Montini. Chris, your second state title. Tell me how it feels.
Feels good. I needed to redeem myself from last year. I didn't like the way I won at all. That's not my bracket, so I consider myself a one-time state champ. I needed to redeem myself, and it feels great.
Well, you look pretty dominant against a pretty athletic opponent. Congratulations. Garcia, 145 pounds, state champion.
It's November 17th, Sunday. Most families in Washington were, in church or, coming back from church. And we had an EF4 tornado come, through at a pretty high rate of speed and devastate and pretty much demolish 1,000 of our homes. Me and my family were at church. We went down. They took us downstairs, and the kids were playing. I mean, this is Washington. We've never had a natural disaster. I had my cell phone was in my coat pocket upstairs, and when I got it, there was 50 texts on there from my wrestlers. Is so and so okay? Is so and so okay? And that's kind of when it started to sit in, that this is real. That the tornado wasn't just a warning, but it was something that had devastated our town. Right away, it was instantly kind of that wrestler mentality. When something bad happens, what can we do to work really, really hard to fix it?
Rich Townsell, who's Gabe Townsend's dad, he suggested that we do our community cleanup, which we do every year as a fundraiser, which we had scheduled for that Sunday. He suggested that we do it in Washington. And of course I thought, boy, that was stupid of me not to think of that, but it was his idea, so we ran with it.
So when we found out that there was a bad storm, a lot of our guys are kind of tweeting and texting each other about it, and once we realized how bad it was, the guys and all of us kind of put our heads together to figure out what we can do, and I think the easiest thing to do is just get down there and do whatever we could.
There was more. There was Oak Park, there was Montini, there was Rockford East. We've done everything, anybody needed done. We were getting to the point where we were the go-to helpers. We were the people that were willing to put their boots on, and there was a lot more than just us. But we had muscle and we had manpower and we were ready to work. So
on the outside, you didn't really see it pulling in. You see the Washington sign, the population sign. We get out, we take a picture. You see houses, you kind of see a little bit of debris, but then all of a sudden you start seeing the police barricades.
And our kids, once they saw the devastation, it was like true humanity came out, and it was like nothing I've ever seen before. These kids worked their tails off. They were so grateful to be there, to be able to help, because it looked like Armageddon. It looked like a movie, a Hollywood movie.
So we kind of just put our blinders on, put our boots on, and we looked at the next right thing to do. If it was cleaning up a house or cleaning up a field, we did that. If somebody needed something moved, we did that.
I think probably the most telling thing about the Washington people that I noticed was not a single person there looked like they were feeling sorry for themselves. The only tears we saw were tears of gratitude, and it's an amazing kind of testament to the strength of the Washington people. And to go one step further, Brian Medlin was the heart of the cleanup effort from the townies.
I don't think it's really set in, exactly the tornado, because we didn't have a grieving process. We had a job to do. We had to go out there, we had to help these families that needed help, and then, we had to get on the wrestling mat and produce a good product there too. We weren't gonna let, something bad that happened to our town affect a year's worth of work. And I haven't really allowed them to look back yet. And I think once this is done, once this season's over and we kind of decompress, after dual team state, hopefully we're at dual team state and everybody decompresses, they're gonna realize what they've done. And they're gonna be better people for having lived through these times.
And again, Coach, we've talked about some of the great matchups we've seen. This is going to be another tremendous one for us.
Well, we've got Luke Fortuna from Montini, and Luke is a very solid fundamental wrestler, and again, loves to keep good position. Luke enters this match with a 39-9 record, and his opponent, Randy Menneweather from Washington, who is 44-3. Again, this should be, another very competitive match.
In two comparable styles, I think. I've got a chance to see both of them, especially Menneweather, quite a bit, and he's so explosive and so athletic. And watching Fortuna, he's kind of the same way. He hits things and he does it so hard.
There's a Fortuna with the early takedown right there.
And again, according to the GEI wrestling rankings, Fortuna ranked first in the state, Menneweather third. Menneweather had a great match in the semis, beat Champaign, who was ranked second. Just a real nice finish to that one.
Right.
Menneweather with the escape. We're at a little over a minute, 2-1 in favor of Fortuna.
Well, that's a big early score for Luke. Usually when he scores early, that's a big recipe to success for him.
And he's another one I enjoy watching just because he's one of those people who comes at you for the 6 minutes. You better be ready to, in shape and ready to compete the whole time you're out there.
Very tough, hard-nosed wrestler.
And again, nice thing, he's only a junior. Menneweather's only a sophomore, so we'll get a chance to watch these kids again for the next year. In Menneweather's case, 2 years.
As you mentioned earlier with the boy from Washington, Luke has put his time in for 2 years in the Montini program, wrestling undersized, wrestling up at 160 and even at 152 when he was an undersized wrestler, and really went through some pretty tough matches and some tough situations, and he's put his time in terms of that. And this year he's got a chance to put it all together and wrestle at the weight that is best for him, and boy, he's had a tremendous season.
Well, that's one of the things as a coach I know you love to see, a boy who puts in the time, the effort, and it pays off for him. And unfortunately, too many kids aren't willing to do that. If they don't get the early success, they tend to want to find something else to do.
Right, yeah, and you know, Luke was about a 500 wrestler on the varsity his freshman year, and again, had to wrestle 152 and 160 a lot of matches because there was older guys and other guys in the lineup, and he had to wait his turn. And you know, that builds a lot of character, you know, but again, as a coach, it's something you got to be very leery, because it can also break you down.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes that's tough to recover from, but in Luke's case, as you mentioned, he's a very strong, you know, very mentally tough kid, and you know, it really made him, you know, gave him a lot of the you know, the intensity and the style that he wrestles with today.
So he's working to come to his feet. Nice little power stand. Manyweather locks up and basically cuts him. Manyweather, coach, he's also an excellent football player. Only a sophomore, as part of Washington's tremendous team. I think they got down to the state semifinals, lost to Sacred Heart Griffin, and he played some linebacker and running back for him. And he, like you can see, he kind of looks the part there. Real good athlete, hard-nosed type of boy.
Right.
So 3-1 with the escape, minute and 32 seconds left, second period. Again, the match slowing down a little bit here, but I think that's more used to their styles as far as the way these two do things.
Right.
But to me, if I'm Manyweather, I got to push the action a little bit. He's got Fortuna's in perfect position right now. He leads 3-1.
Right.
Manyweather might want to take a chance here to give himself some time just in case it doesn't work real well.
Well, both guys are trying to work inside position here, and
we're at 45 seconds left. Manyweather's trying, he just can't get to his legs. Fortuna doing a good job with his stance. And got warned for stalling there.
There's a real good setup there, but a block by Manyweather.
Yeah, it looks like they're both trying to hit things. It's just the other one's countered so well they're not able to get to anything, and their styles are so similar. We're at 17 seconds, second period.
All 145-pound place winners should be reporting to the awards area. All 145-pound place winners, please report to the awards area.
And now we'll go to the third period. Fortuna with the 3-1 lead. Manyweather's going to get his choice. And again, I guess to take down to win it.
Well, Coach Israel Martinez is in the corner here of Fortuna. He's very adamant about what he perceives as a change in the level of intensity out of his wrestler. He really wants Fortuna to get back on the offense here. And we'll see if he responds to that.
Manyweather got to his feet, got to the edge, and hadn't quite got his face to him to get the escape. Again, he's up. If I'm Manyweather, I just kind of stand there and get the stalling warning, but not me gave him the escape before he could. 3-2 with a minute and 38 seconds left in this third period. There you go. He got to a shot. Just couldn't get past those hips, though. Again, Fortuna's been warned for stalling, I believe, so he doesn't want to make that mistake to end up hurting him a bit to tie the score. But we're a minute and 20 seconds left in the match.
There's a nice shot there. Manyweather wants to try to lengthen him out.
Yeah, push that head down.
Get him extended. He's looking at that. Looked like he was thinking about an inside trip there.
We're right now at a minute in the match. Fortuna leads 3-2.
Well, with Luke Fortuna, his problem is he's been aggressive with 2 or 3 shots here in the last minute, or the first minute, I should say, of this last period. But the problem is he's in a position as soon as Manyweather counters, he's got no direction to go but back.
Yep.
And in the last 30 seconds of that match, in a one-point match, you can count on that's going to be hit as a stalling call. He's got to be able to move his feet and go lateral if he's going to counter.
Again, a lot of hand fighting. Fortuna doing a little bit of pushing here. You should just shoot him out. There you go. We're 30 seconds right on the nose. See if Manyweather can get to a shot. Can't clear the arms to get to the double. He's working real hard at it. We're at 20 seconds.
All 145-pound place winners who should be in the awards area at this time. All 145-pound.
Fortuna wants to get a finish here now.
Score.
Couldn't quite finish that mat return. 13 seconds, dangerous time for Fortuna. He's got to go forward here or he's going to hit that stalling call.
Manyweather working the hand fighting. Yep,
there it came.
And there was a stall call with 3 seconds left. We'll go to overtime.
Well, we saw both officials making eye contact there. You saw that that was coming. Luke Fortuna needed to do one more thing.
So again, 3-3, first points would win. Montini boy's been warned for stalling, so he's got to be a little more aggressive maybe.
Right.
Well, there's in on a shot. Boy, Manyweather gets those hips on him. He's so strong. Never going to score from there, too close to the edge. We'll go back to the center with 35 seconds.
Well, Fortuna has initiated a lot of the shots, 4 or 5 shots here in the third period and in overtime, but Manyweather's done a great job of countering.
He just got such hip strength.
Yep.
Because there's another one. He's going to score against most people with that thing.
Right.
Beautiful shot. He's in on another shot. This one he's got up in the air. This is a legitimate chance to score if he can keep him in bounds.
Manyweather breaks those hands.
Yeah.
Now, Coach Israel Martinez again, and you know, you wonder here at what point is Manyweather going to get warned for a stall here. Fortuna's taken numerous shots here in the overtime and third period.
We'll go to the second part of it now. Remember, this one is 2 30-second periods. They're cumulative. It's not first point that wins. It's total score after the 2 30 seconds.
Right.
So right away, that power stand. He's to his feet. Manyweather locks on a leg, and he kicks out for the point. So Fortuna will have a 4-3 lead here with 18 seconds to go.
Junior from Dakota, Carver James.
So here, if you're Manyweather, you try a shot, or do you just wait and say, let's get it to the next part?
Well, you know, he knows Fortuna has the hammer, you know. Fortuna scored first, so it doesn't look like Manyweather had much success riding him. So if I'm Manyweather, I'm thinking I gotta score on my feet.
Okay, so he's gonna go underneath here. And right now, Fortuna have the 1-point lead. Power stand, he's up. And there's the escapes. You're saying if you're Manyweather right now, you're going after him to try and win it.
I'm turning it up because I know right now I didn't have much success riding him. I think the 2 or 3 times I rode him about 15 seconds total. So I'm going to win or lose it on my feet here. So if I'm him.
Now we'll go to the ultimate tiebreaker. This 30 seconds will decide it. Because Montini scored first, he gets choice. Rule says he has to score to win. If he gets ridden out, he loses.
And he's up. Tries a mat return. Locked hands call right there.
No, I think he's hitting stalemate.
Oh,
he just got his hand.
Locked hands call.
I thought so too, but
wow. That would have changed the complexion of this building.
14
Menoweather's
seconds
doing
left.
a great job here.
Because I don't think Menoweather's been warned for stalling, so if he can just come up and just lock up, just stay right there and see how long he'll let you stay there.
Right. He's got a circle on.
He's got the hands locked. Just stay on the lock and you're going to win the match. Did what he had to do to win the match. Got in there tight, understood that where he was on things, and it was a nice match for state champion there at 152 pounds, the sophomore from Washington, Randy Menoweather.
He did a great job wrestling tough in that overtime ride-out situation. Didn't show much propensity to ride in the regular match, but boy, he came through when he needed to.
I'm here with Randy Menoweather, 152-pound state champion from Washington. Hard-fought match. What were you thinking going into that overtime?
I was thinking, like my coach said, I only got 6 more minutes left, 6 minutes of the match. After that, I had to dig deep. Coach always preaches hard work, hard effort equals good results. So,
awesome performance. Randy Menoweather, 152-pound state champion.
There comes a point in your life that determines who you are, whether you will lead or follow, whether you will fight or give in, whether you will win or lose, and what you will count as your victory.
43-4, and he's done a great job getting to the state final. And of course, Garrett Sutton from Richmond Burton, who himself is a defending state champ, he's undefeated at 40-0. So Warner is, right now he's excited. Obviously, he loves this opportunity, but he's sure got a tall task ahead of him with Garrett Sutton from Richmond Burton.
Yes, he does. It's going to be a great match for us here. And Sutton last year, I remember in the finals, beat Austin Colton from Sycamore in just a tremendous match.
Right.
The same deal. I think Colton was defending state champ, and Sutton beat him. So now Warner's looking to do the same thing, unseat a defending state champion. In fact, an undefeated defending state champion.
Right.
And you mentioned Brett Wojcik, the coach there at Richmond Burton, and the great job he his kids up there.
Yeah, Brett's been around for a while, and of course you mentioned Jordan Blanton, which I'm sure was one of the first. I don't believe he was their first state champ up there, but I do know that he was their highest notoriety wrestler at the time, and obviously went on to a great career here at the University of Illinois and was an All-American several times. And if you know Jordan, you just know he's a great young man.
Just a great person to talk to, and we got a chance to deal with him through some other things, and he was a unique person, did some things real well, represented the sport so solid. But Sutton's got an early 2-1 leads in position to score again. And
I'll tell you what, Warner has really impressed me. He's done a great job of scrambling here.
He's one of those kids I've got a chance to see quite a bit, and I don't think anything bothers him a whole lot. It's always low-key, even keel, does things hard, and he's got, I call it scramble ability. He does things like you say, and he gets on top, and he's really solid. So we'll see what he can do. He trails 2-1 with just under a minute to go in this first period.
Well, as many people might anticipate, Sutton comes right out and kind of hits something explosive and gets that takedown, gets up 2-0, and then Warner's done a great job. Now he's under 45 seconds, and it's a 1-point match. 2-1.
And I believe Sutton signed to wrestle next year at the University of Michigan. Michigan's program that's kind of on the rise as far as doing some stuff. Sean Burnett went up there as an assistant coach and comes in now and is recruiting some of the kids from the state. I know he's got the Brian Murphy. Has had a great year for a freshman up there.
Well, again, Warner is, here gets it now. We're down to 22 seconds in the period, and he locked him up again on a shot with Sutton. So he's right where he wants to be in terms of being on the big stage here and against a very, very quality opponent.
Yeah, a lot of hand fighting and positioning here under 5 seconds. A little arm drag there by Sutton, couldn't finish it. And we'll go to the second period, 2-1. Sutton will go on the bottom. And we'll see if Warner can get in. He runs this tip series so nicely, Coach. We'll see if he can get it in a tip position or if Sutton right away gets out of there.
Now you said it. He went right to it right there. Got a little high on that.
Yep.
Sutton swam right out of that.
John Churchill's our referee for this particular match.
Tom Futris is the assistant.
So Sutton will lead 4-1. Just starting the second period.
And many times that's the difference, Kevin. You look at a kid like Warner, and as a freshman, as he gets older and as he matures more, his body, you know, people are not going to be able to wiggle out of those types of situations.
Exactly.
He's gonna, if he's tough on top like that, he's going to be able to convert that into a score. And right now, Sutton might just have a little too much physicality for him and a little bit of experience.
Senior against a freshman, that's
Right.
a big thing. But again, he's got that, like you mentioned earlier, the ability to turn people.
Yep.
So you're never really out of a match if you've got that skill. And he reminds me so much of Dylan Reel, Washington boy from a few years back.
Oh, yeah.
Same body type of structure, same skill level and things like that. Whereas he gets older and more mature, he'll become much more physical.
Sure. Here he is, and again, in another scramble situation.
Looking for a stalemate here. That's what
Yeah,
we
he
get.
got it.
With 52 seconds left, second period.
You know, and again, he's not scoring right now, but what he's doing is he's taking some of Sutton's best shots and he's negating them. And so what is that going to translate in the third period?
We talk about sometimes when you're the underdog, get the match as short as possible.
Right.
Narrow it down where just one time you do something to win it. And right now he's in that position, 4-2 with 35 seconds left. Oh, nice duck under again. And here's again, Warner's in a tough spot. His counter to this would be kick out.
Right.
But if he kicks out, are they going to hit him for fleeing the mat?
Right.
And so Warner doesn't, or excuse me, Sutton a tremendous job keeping those feet in.
That's the experience of a state champion there, returning state champion and undefeated young man to be able to convert that in the edge. That's a big takedown to go up 6-2. That gives him a lot of control in this match.
Well, that's a great skill to have, to be able to score at the edge, and that skill to drag your feet. Looks so pretty when some of these wrestlers do it. Now we're at 20 seconds. Warner really needs to score here to stay in the match. Needs to run to the middle. And we'll go out of bounds. 14 seconds left.
Ooh, he caught it.
Boy, that was a quick one, too. It's just almost a hit right away, popped off. But they definitely did touch in there.
Again, Warner is just doing whatever he has to do to hang around.
Staying right in there.
Right.
This is why this sitting mat side's so neat. We can see all this stuff. In the past, we've been up in the stands to be able to broadcast this, so the IHSA really stepped up for us this year in order to help us out. Warner takes bottom, like you talked about. He gets the escape. Well, assuming he gets the escape, 6-4, and he's right there in the match.
Well, what you look for and what you're very leery of, if you're Sutton and his coaches, is some type of a scramble situation where he gets reversal, like
Just like
here,
that, huh?
and now, you know, he could score off of that in terms of transition.
He's in his position
Absolutely.
that he likes to be in, with 6-5 with 1:40 left in the match.
You should be in the awards area at this time.
We used to talk about that all the time, and out of all the matches, we'd go back and pour over and look at results and things, and you know, I know it sounds so simple, but reversals are absolutely the enemy.
Worst thing
when
in the
you
world,
give up
I think.
reversals, you're going to lose matches. That's all there is to it. Very tough to recover from that situation.
Sutton trying to power stand. Warner, Matt returns him. Can't get a hold of the wrists, though. Sutton's doing a good job keeping those wrists out in front. Warner's working real hard with his right hand to bring it back in. Now it looks like can't get it into position. Now he's going to cut him. Now he didn't cut him correctly, though, so we'll go back to the middle. Warner will be on top. 1:06 left.
Surprised they don't let him try one time, something off the whistle, that quick tilt. It looks like he's...
If nothing else, maybe 15 seconds, cut him with 45, but because we're at a minute right now, and 7-5 in favor of Sutton.
Well, Warner is really trying to turn up the intensity. A nice shot by Sutton.
He's had a couple good shots.
Great job of lowering his level.
Boy, he's got that leg up there over his head. And there's going to be the 2 at the edge. Second time he's got to take down at the edge like that by dragging the toes.
Boy, that's a hard-earned 2 on the edge there. He really had to work for that. I am really impressed with this Warner. He's done a tremendous job.
And
Again, he's right back into it here.
Didn't take the escape, instead tried to scramble to get the reversal.
Right. Well, he's thinking about what he needs to get back in this match. He's thinking about a 3 or 4 point combination.
Or
here.
a quick reversal and a tip, something like that.
Right.
Because he could have had the escape. So we're 35 seconds left. And we're at 25. There's the escape. And Sutton did a great job off that, gave the escape, and right away came at him, and Warner, I don't think was ready for it. Did a nice job. 9-6, 18 seconds to go.
Sutton in on a shot.
Sutton's just done a nice job of coming to Warner's right leg. There's a takedown at the end. But again, great match. Sutton, undefeated, defending state champ, did a tremendous job. And Warner, like I said, he comes real hard, freshman. And like you've seen, nothing seems to bother him. He's hustled the whole match. So it's hopefully looking forward to watching him the next 3 years accomplish some neat things.
He certainly will. Garrett Sutton really earned this victory. Jacob Warner gave him everything he could handle, but boy, how impressive was Sutton as a senior in this match. Our state place winners at 160 pounds, obviously Garrett Sutton from Richmond.
160-pound state champion from Richmond. Seems like it was a hard-fought victory. You were undefeated, defending state champ. Looked like the pressure was like mounting, and you just wanted to get it over with. Give me your thoughts.
Jake Warner, the freshman, I just wrestled. I mean, I underestimated him at first. He came out real strong, so it was a little bit of a shocker of how strong he was. But just kept fighting. I really wanted to get that second title, and I just pushed through it.
Awesome. Congratulations. Garrett Sutton, 160-pound state champion.
Fortunate to have my 2 boys enjoy wrestling. You can't just make them young people go into your sport. I felt blessed that my guys liked it. Jake, his path might have been a little bit more difficult because he had health difficulties to overcome. He qualified for the cadet nationals as an 8th grader. Just when we were getting ready to go to that, he had his first seizure. And then it seemed like he was always battling things. He wins cadet state. That weekend, he's complaining about tooth and jaw pain. When he was finally diagnosed, he had this somewhat rare form of cancer called Burkitt's lymphoma leukemia. That night, they did a CT scan. I said, "What do you see, doctor?" And he says, "I see lesions on every organ in his body." He had a great team of doctors that just blasted him with there's a lot of chemo is difficult, but he had maybe about 9 or 10 times the normal dosage. But he battled back so well with so many prayers and support. And he was always so courageous in that respect. He said he was going to come back for his junior year dual meet against York High School, which was a big conference rival. And he did. They took out the tube that was into his chest for the chemo 1 week, and a couple weeks later, he was wrestling. And because of that, and the way he dealt with things, the doctors just said, he's a wrestler. Tough to the bone, modest, and just took everything. He did great in Greco. He was ranked number 2 in the country at his weight. And as a matter of fact, he was on a tour in Europe, and he had just placed in a tournament in Finland and Sweden. And in the Finnish tournament, he beat the number 1 ranked guy, as a co-American. He beat him there, so he was really on the ascent. I remember he came back, and I talked to him on the phone. He had a great attitude. For the first time he beat Ivan in a match. And to them, I mean, that's a milestone, because Ivan was one tough guy. And we went home and laid down for a nap before dinner, and that's where his fiancée found him, and he had just stopped breathing. And in some cases, a person with epilepsy can have that sudden death due to epilepsy, they call it, and it's just a mystery and totally unpredictable. And Brian Medlin and Mike Powell, they were the first to suggest having a competition, and then it sort of grew from there.
It has a board of directors, and it has a lot of corporate sponsorship, so we can get these international teams in there. Big countries, wrestling countries are coming over. Every year it just seems to kind of get a bigger foothold and get more people excited about the event itself, and other countries are starting to take notice and wanting to come to America to wrestle Greco-Roman, which is a great thing for our country. I think this is going to be, in 5 years, the premier Greco-Roman event in the United States.
We had politicians there with their resolutions supporting keeping wrestling in the Olympics. We had Jim Corneliuson sing the national anthem.
He wanted to have an event that epitomized what Jacob was, which was just, he was world class.
Coach, go ahead for us at 170.
Well, we've got a match at 170 pounds here featuring another defending state champion, Xavier Montalvo from Montini. He was the 160-pound state champ last year, moving up. And Xavier is 41-4 this year, and he will be wrestling Eric Schultz from Tinley Park. And Eric has put together a great season. He's a sophomore. He's 42-2, and comes from a great wrestling family in Tinley Park. So again, this should be a real good matchup here.
And this Schultz boy, I got a chance last year. We had a boy from our school wrestle down here at the state tournament at 138 pounds, and he wrestled Schultz. So Schultz bumped up from 138 up to 170. And I know he's had some family, like you talked about, some real successful wrestlers up there.
Well, he's an athletic kid, obviously, and he hit a growth spurt, so he's that type of kid. Xavier is a very, very solid wrestler in every position, and he's had a lot of success this year, even at the national level. I know he's nationally ranked, and he's been on the scene for a couple of years. He's had a tremendous amount of success. So again, this is a great matchup here at 170 pounds. Xavier Montalvo actually spent most of the year competing at 160, and again had trouble with some weight issues, and the decision was made to have him compete for the second half of the year at 170 pounds.
That's where I might be different from a lot. I sometimes believe kids do better when they don't cut weight. They're happier, they're healthier, and they tend to go out and maybe do things a little bit better instead of having to worry about your weight all the time. And you've mentioned at least 2 or 3 kids from Montini who I think that's applied to, where they've said, hey, this weight cutting stuff maybe is not what's best for me.
Right.
And they've had a lot of success at the weight classes they've been at.
Yeah, well, I talked about Dylan Duncan earlier today, the state champ at 120 pounds. And, he lost, I think he was lost 5 out of 6 matches at 113 pounds. Now, obviously, the caliber wrestler that he was, there was something wrong there. So the decision was made, and he made an adjustment, and it was a great end of the year finish for him. And I know Xavier was in the same boat, competing at early in the year at 160 pounds. But nonetheless, again here, Schultz does a great job of getting through this period 0-0.
Just tremendous job so far. And again, with 0-0, he gets choice right away. Says bottom in case it comes into play later on. You've talked about quite a bit the mindset of wrestlers. You're coming in, you're knowing you're wrestling a defending state champion. You got to get that boy mentally ready to go out and say, hey, you can compete with this person. Here's what you have to do, and you got to get him to believe that he can.
Right. Well, like you mentioned, there's a nice return there. by Montalvo. But you mentioned, you know, last match, the Warner boy from Washington. You know, that's how you can tell that that young man is going to be special, because of the attitude he brought to that championship match. He wasn't happy to be there. You know, he wasn't just content with being on a state championship match on the big stage, and it doesn't look like Schultz is either. This guy's ready, and he's here to win and compete.
And he bails out of bounds in 1 minute and 32 seconds left. And Ryan Dolan's the coach over there at Tinley Park, and we've mentioned already Montini, Israel Martinez, with all the kids they've had in the finals. He's got that cradle locked up, needs to get his hip in the correct position.
Well, a lot of guys panic in this position,
yeah, exactly.
and they kind of blow the advantage they have, and he's got to take his time and make sure that he sets this up right. Schultz wants to get that arm out like he does there.
He did, good call. And bails out and gets the escape, so Schultz will lead 1-0, just over a minute left in the second period.
160-pound place winners, please report to the awards area. 160-pound place winners, please report to the awards area.
Oh, nice ankle drive off of that.
Boy, Montalvo did a great job.
Good job of getting the hips through.
Fancy name, we used to call that a boot scoot, Coach. I don't know what everybody else calls it, but that was a great recovery there.
Great position to score. Schultz needs to keep that knee up by his ear if he can.
Now he's trying to work there and hip into him. Montalvo has to get in. What he wants to do is hook that leg high and get in there and bring those hips up over the top. And he can score in that position.
Under 20 seconds. Boy, this would be a big stalemate call if Schultz could get it, because he's really working hard to keep that leg up. Montalvo can get the knee down by the elbow. There it became. He got that knee down there far enough.
There's 2 points right under 10 seconds. Again, as we talked all night, Kevin.
Huge.
Big score there by Montalvo.
So now we'll go to the third period. Montalvo will take bottom. Just seemed to base out on the start there. Schultz using that long body with his leverage. Check his right hand there in perfect position to control that far leg. Comes back to a crunch. And again, here we've talked about this before. You're Schultz. How long are you going to stay in this position? You think you can turn him, or at some point in time you're going to cut him and try and take him down to get the tie? Looks like he's going to cut him there. 1 minute and 25 left in the match. 3-1 in favor of Montalvo.
But again, if you're a sophomore and you're in a state championship match and you're against a defending state champ and you're on a 2-point match in the third period, that's where you want to be.
Exactly.
He's in very good position here.
He's shortened the match and made, nice shot. He's going to be out of bounds. I always hate to see a boy waste a shot like that when there was really no way he was going to score, because he spun to get behind him. He would have gone out of bounds.
Montalvo lowers his level.
Nice change of levels. And there's going to be the twos, got the leg split, so he's in perfect position up there.
Now again, he's got to take his time here and try to work this position. That's what he's thinking right now. He doesn't want to panic.
Just
goes across to the shoulder, and now he's going to get back points.
That was just a little meanness there. He just pulled that shoulder in really hard.
You should be in the awards area at this time.
And now he's setting with 3.
He brings that toe. He brings that toe to the head.
That's they're going to call that potentially
well,
dangerous.
You know, that's always an interesting.
Look at that too.
It's a very interesting position, because a lot of referees in high school are very guarded against that, and rightfully so. It really puts the knee at a bad angle.
So to me, he's better off just laying there and setting on the 3 and finishing off the match instead of getting it broke for a potentially dangerous. Because he's sitting on the 3, that would make it 8-1 as they're going to finish this off. So like we mentioned, nice win. Xavier Montalvo, junior from Montini. State champ for the second time here. Beats Eric Schultz, only a sophomore from Tinley Park.
Well, Montalvo was certainly very impressive, but I'll tell you what, here's back-to-back weight classes where we've had a young man, you know, and here's Schultz that really impressed me.
I'm here with Xavier Montalvo, 170-pound state champion from Montini. Xavier, you were wrestling at 160 most of the season, and you went up to 170. Tell me why you made that decision.
It was a decision that me and Izzy made. One of our guys was senior. He was wrestling 70 all years, taking some beatings. So I decided to bump up, let him go down, let him do the best he could.
You did a great job. 170-pound state champion, Xavier Montalvo. Hi, I'm Lee Kemp, three-time world champion and Olympic wrestling coach. When I was an athlete, I looked for any type of edge I could get, and nutrition was that edge for me as an athlete. And I created the company Forza to help athletes get that nutritional edge. And when I finished competing, I wanted to do something that would allow me to be involved in wrestling and give something back to wrestling. So I created the company Forza. Forza is a nutritional company that allows me to pursue a great passion that I have of nutrition. ForzaByKemp.com.
Well, here at 182 pounds, we've got Colin Carr from Washington again. Another one of the Washington boys here, and he's a senior. And Michael Zalesko from Crystal Lake Central. Michael also a senior. And again, as our last match, we should have a real physical match here. Both of these young men really like to get after it.
If you remember last year, Colin Carr was our feel-good story, a boy who hadn't wrestled much before high school, hurt as a freshman and sophomore. Just kept working and working. Last year fought his way into the state championship and got second. Well, now he's one of the big dogs. He's had a great season, 46-1. His only loss, he moved up to 195 to try and win him a duel against the boy from Bloomington, who I think was third this week at 195. And he's earned himself a scholarship to the University of Minnesota next year. He'll be wrestling up there for Jay Robinson. So he's had a nice career over at Washington.
Fantastic.
And Zalesko, I've been impressed with him this weekend also. You know, we talk about Crystal Lake Central, what a great program they've had there over the past few years. And he's just a typical Crystal Lake kid, does some things real hard.
Very physical. I saw that last week in the sectional. He'll be in a match, you know, you'll know you're in a match when you wrestle Zalesko.
And Jeff Sorensen's our referee for this match.
170-pound place winners, please report to the awards area. All 170-pound place winners, please report to the awards area.
We're at 53 seconds left.
Slide by tongue.
And a nice reshot off the slide by position. Carr should shoot him out, yep. 36 seconds left, first period. And still no score. Carr just basically a blast double, didn't set it up, just tried to say, hey, I'm pretty competitive, see if I can get there. And Zalesko had nothing to do with it, bailed out. We're nothing still with 21 seconds. Carr doing a little bit of chasing now with 10 seconds left. Trying to shoot him out again. Again, I use that term, shoot him out. He's basically telling the ref, hey, I'm being real active here. He's guarding the edge of the mat. And so maybe in the future, that'll help you get a stall warning.
Well, yeah, he's setting precedence there. He's not able to score. He knows that, but you know, kind of taking his territory, so to speak, you know, and obviously referees are human and they see those patterns and they see those things, and you know, you want to condition them to think that you're the aggressor, and that could pay off in a big match or a big situation in the match.
One thing we've been fortunate, we haven't had much injury time down here. Right now we're on a little bit of blood time, but outside of the injury at one of the light weights, it's been a real clean night for all the kids.
Right.
And remember, blood time separate from injury time. Blood time, you get 5 minutes total. So 1 second left in the period. Looks like we'll get out of here at 0-0.
And speaking of injury time, Kevin, again, we just want to make sure that we mention Francis Edelin, the 106-pounder that they took off in a stretcher. We have not been able to talk to anybody here, so hopefully he's okay, and our thoughts and our prayers are obviously with him and his family.
Oh,
so
exactly.
We wish him the best.
You know, that's one of the things we always wish for, everybody get out of the sport healthy. And
right.
You know, that's. But does Lasco take the bottom? Again, no score. Carr's on top of nice little side.
Nice job with his hips
right there. Hips out. Carr counters it. Gets him back. And from watching Carr, he's real tough on top. Coach, I think he'll like him when he can get some kids flat. Oh,
Zalasco reaches over and just pulls over a headlock.
Pretty.
He just caught his head hanging.
Yeah. And Carr competes his way out of it, and we're not going to see any points. No points at all off that.
Well, interestingly enough, that brings up that situation, because as he pulls his head over and he gets him on his back, he cannot get near fall points until control has changed.
Reversal, exactly.
He can get a fall.
Good
he can get a fall, but he can't get near fall. I saw that situation somewhere else. In the tournament, I forget what weight it was, but you know, sometimes that's such a quick call like that happens. It's a good job they're allowing that flurry to finish by Jeff Sorensen.
Real nice job. I didn't even think about that because you just saw Carr on his back, but there was no reversal yet, so it couldn't be near fall.
Right.
So Carr cuts him. He doesn't want to mess around on the mat after that scenario.
He's not going to hang his head again. He probably learned that lesson there. Nice shot on the outside single. Carr has great wrist control. See how he wouldn't allow that wrist to come across to finish. He went whether a Barzagar or go with that double finish. That's a great job of defense with his wrist control.
182 pounds.
That was the way Lee Kemp used to do it, Kevin. We're sitting here with the great Lee Kemp, by the way, and I just wanted to mention that. He's been interviewing the young men here, and we're glad to welcome him to our team, Kevin.
Yeah, the interviews will be part of when this is broadcast on tape delay, second week in March. I think it's Monday night will be the AA part. So, you know, get there and watch it and hopefully enjoy what you see and maybe learn some things. Again, if you're not sure of the time, just go to Illinois Mapman, the wrestling website, and it's all in there for you. But so we're still 1-0 with 36 seconds left, second period. Zalasco from Crystal Lake Central's in the lead. And he's done a nice job at doing things. He's put Carr in position 2 or 3 times and hasn't been able to score with it.
Now Carr keeps the pressure on. It kind of changes a little bit of the momentum of the match here and gets a stalling call. Zalasco all of a sudden looks like he's lost a little bit of energy. Slow back to the middle.
We're inside 10 seconds, second period. Boy, Carr's doing a lot of chasing. That stall call's got to come pretty quick.
He just keeps that pressure on. Boy, he's relentless.
And there's in on a shot at the buzzer. Carl, I'm sure, take bottom third. Oh, no, he's going to choose neutral. He must have a scouting report. This guy must be pretty solid on top, I guess, then.
There you go.
Because that, and he's saying, I can take you down. I've been persistent at it for 4 minutes. Let's see if you can handle 2 more minutes of me chasing you.
Well, again, he certainly has, you know, become the aggressor in this match.
And he's definitely set up the stalling situation because he's been doing a lot of aggressive moves.
Right.
Carr's got him at the edge. Needs to keep the toes in, and toes slid out.
And the 182-pound place winners, please report to the awards area.
Well, again, Kevin, it brings that point up. It's a very interesting call. Zalasco looks like he
that injury time started on him.
But very interesting call not to go down in that third period. I know Zalasco, you know, seen him wrestle throughout the tournament, and obviously you know, does a good job with every position, but hasn't really scored a whole heck of a lot of points. So you wonder if they saw something that, you know, maybe nobody else has.
And maybe he's just got that Crystal Lake mystique that their kids are all so solid on top from watching Hera and Marsden and those kids earlier in their careers. You know, their kids were always tough with that cradle series. But yeah, he's on injury time over there, so he's used up half of it. He's down to 45 seconds with it. The only time this might come into play is if he needs to take a second one, then Carr would get choice of where he wanted to go.
But he had choice of where he wanted to go there, and he chose neutral.
Good point. Took neutral, so he's right where he wants to be here is what it amounts to. So here we go. We get 1:39 left in the wrestling evening here. Last match of the night. Carr from Washington trails 1-0 against Lasco from Crystal Lake Central. That little rest seemed to get Lasco a little fired up. He's right away come out and tried to do some things. Coach probably had a chance to talk to him and say, you need to be a little more active. Because that's 2 in a row.
He's gone in on a shot.
Because now he's bought himself some time for the stalling calls. We're at 1:15. Needs to shoot him again.
This coach is imploring him. He thinks one more shoot off there and that stalling call is going to come.
There it is.
There it is.
Yep, exactly. Now if he could finish it,
he's working on that spladle. Lasco, but Carr is coming over the top.
Stalling call and the takedown makes it 3-1. Now's where, like you say, he just don't want to make a mistake. He hasn't been warned for stalling. Just lay there and stay active with your hands.
He's got to get his hips off his back. He's got to get, you know, Lasco's
got that crab
got his belly, but if he gets to the side, tries to pop that wrist, you know, get that over the back. But he's going belly to back here, and Jeff Sorensen's not going to let that go too long.
Well, no, he warned the bottom man there.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So
he wouldn't come
Lasco
up.
right now, he got his hips up. But it's very easy to see why Jay Robinson's impressed with Colin Carr.
He's a college type of wrestler.
Absolutely.
He does things very hard, and he's tough on top. So we're inside 10 seconds. Lasco trails 42. This one's not over yet.
Nope.
There's a nice shot.
Great shot on the edge. He got to that leg.
6 seconds left. And there's going to be your state champions from Washington.
Colin Carr put together a great match.
Yes, he did. It was a fun one to watch. Both of them well schooled and well coached.
I'm here with Colin Carr, 182-pound state champion from Washington. Colin, really emotional there. What does this victory mean for you?
It means everything. It means that I've worked so hard in the offseason. I know I've worked relentlessly for this. 265 days ago, I stood here as a state runner-up, and I hated that feeling. So I worked my butt off in the offseason, and now I'm here, and I won.
So you're going to University of Minnesota?
Yes, sir, I am. I can't wait to get up there. Best college program in the nation.
Awesome, congratulations. Colin Carr, state champion, 182 pounds.
Wonderful matches tonight. Assembly Hall, or excuse me, State Farm Center was rocking. The Grand March was tremendous. The Jumbotron was, as always, unique. Go through some of the highlights of your evening for us.
Well, obviously, another awesome display of wrestling by the young men, you know, in the state of Illinois, and it just keeps getting better every year. The skill level is amazing. One of the themes that I'm seeing, and we talked about it at the opening of our show, Kevin, was, you know, really the influx of youth that keeps on coming into the state finals and you know, bigger and bigger weight classes. It used to be years ago, you'd see a couple of kids in the lower weight classes. They would come out of the IKWF programs and make an impact, but now up and down, we saw a couple kids in state finals here, you know, at some of those upper weights, and to me, that's incredible. And it just goes to the coaching and the skill level that we see across the state of Illinois and even down into the junior programs.
Yeah, we had a state champion that was a sophomore at 152. A sophomore freshman was second at 160. A sophomore was second at 170. So yeah, the young kids were there. And then Lee, this is probably your first chance to see our sport here in the state of Illinois. How'd you like it as far as what'd you learn, what'd you see from it?
Great experience here in Assembly Hall. I guess now it's been
State Farm Center.
We've made that mistake all night too. That's right, Lee.
But there's no other sport like wrestling. These athletes put it all on the line, one-on-one. They're out there competing for a state championship. just an awesome performance, and the state of Illinois produces some great wrestlers. They're going to various colleges throughout the nation, so awesome.
Good, glad you enjoyed it. I know we did. Hopefully you get a chance to watch this when it's on Comcast TV here in the next couple weeks. Go to the website, IllinoisMapMen.com, and you'll be able to find out the exact times and so on. And again, we've consistently talked about our rankings, the GEI rankings, Rob Sherrill and the job he does for those. And they kind of held true tonight as far as these top kids were there doing some things. To finish off, remember the team duels, Tuesday nights the sectionals, then Saturday at 9 o'clock.